Hello and welcome to the festive edition of Recentered, the VR podcast. And by festive, I mean that Lee's put some fairy lights and a Santa hat on the thumbnail. I'm your host Rog, and along with Lee and Gary, just think of us as your three Christmas spirits. Except we're all the death-type, future-y, evil-looking ones, showing you the doom and gloom of things to come. Let's have a catch-up with the guys anyway. So, Lee, what you been up to?
Well, surprisingly, I've been ill. I think every time you come to me, I'm like, yeah, I've not been well this week, I've not been well. But I had that like really bad, super cold. It wasn't flu. I don't know if you guys have had it, but it was like my nose was non-stop running, headache, sneezing non-stop. And it was like 3 weeks of that. But apart from that, being absolute hell, I've been playing quite a bit of VR this last couple of weeks. Still playing a lot with Phil. Most days we're going on Walkabout Minigolf, although he's starting to beat me now, so I'll probably not play so much of that anymore. But yeah, really enjoying VR and looking forward to today, because we've not really spoke much, have we, for a couple of weeks now, so it'll be good to catch up.
It's been a bit quiet, really, hasn't it? It's even though there's been things out and about to have a look at. It's I mean, it did snow, right? Briefly, it snowed. Did you guys get snow?
Yes. Not here, no. No, I didn't. No.
Yeah, woke up one night and there was like a couple of feet of snow on, but then it was like gone within a day.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't mind snow, but I'd like it. I love it to snow Christmas Day on one of those. I'm dreaming of a white Christmas, but we'll see what happens there.
Yeah, we had a really sort of bad day of it, or at least bad in the context of how bad it actually gets these days. And then it was gone.
It's not often we get snow in December now in this country, in the UK. We usually get it like May.
No,
or like March, isn't it? So
I already had this conversation with a mate of mine the other week about how the snow is just not like the snow we used to get when I was a kid.
No, didn't, mate.
It isn't at all.
Get your black bin bags out and get on the fields and slide down on your black bin bags. Those were the days.
Yeah. Anyway, catching up with our resident party animal, who was out and about until 10 minutes before we started recording this, so I'm not sure if he's coherent or not. Gary?
Yeah. So I've been drinking some Christmas spirits, and
nice.
So it was like just a meet up with the extended family this lunchtime. So I've had a few beers. I've not had that many. I'm not necessarily drunk, but I'm sort of tipsy. I think that's safe to say, and that's the way to be at Christmas. So that's absolutely fine. But yeah, I'm going to try and remain as coherent as possible, and been playing a hell of a lot of VR. Really, we've got a lot to talk about in this episode. But I do quickly. One of the things I've not mentioned on the list that we've got, I did quickly jump back into No Man's Sky on PSVR 2.
Right.
Just because it had a graphical update. And honestly, it's been a while since I've been in on PSVR 2 and I didn't notice that much of a difference, but maybe there is. I think maybe aliasing. I think the aliasing looks better. And I know that previously on the PSVR 2, they had like these, the particle effects and stuff like that were a little bit blocky and stuff. So I think they've updated all of that kind of stuff on it. But it's still a great game on PSVR 2. And I'd probably say, to be perfectly honest, I would say that it's actually my favourite game on PSVR 2,
right?
And probably the best way to play No Man's Sky, in my opinion. So yeah, even though it's got reprojection, and we've got plenty of reprojection talk out in this show for people that are fans of that.
Oh dear.
So we'll talk about that. But yeah, it's got reprojection, but it's not as intrusive in this game as I find it in certain other ones anyway. So yeah, good game.
Yeah. I've had some thoughts about reprojection recently, and why. At least in sometimes it bothers me, and sometimes it doesn't. But we can get into that later. For myself, I've not really played anything outside the VR stuff. Flat gaming's sort of taken a sort of side step for once, and I've been messing around sort of little bits with Unreal Engine 5. So that's been my main sort of like time waster at the minute. But yeah. Well, let's just get on with what we've been playing anyway, and what there's been about. And first,
we need you to make a game, Rog. You and Gary to make a game in Unreal 5, and then we can use Praydog's mod to VR it.
We'll do a recentered podcast game. How would that work out?
Oh, good grief!
I mean, that would be an absolute nightmare. We'd be moaning constantly through most of the game, I would imagine. But yeah.
Probably involving getting the audio inputs to work on Discord properly, because they never say that. They never say the same, do they? They're not for me anyway.
No.
But yeah, anyway, first up we've got Wallace and Gromit, and I've forgotten the subtitle to the game. It's Wallace and Gromit something, and I've totally not.
Grand Getaway, maybe.
The Grand Getaway. That's it.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. So Wallace and Gromit, absolutely. Anybody in the UK knows who Wallace and Gromit is. Bizarrely, I was on. I don't know whether it was in Discord or in a chat, and it got mentioned, and there were people in the States just didn't know who it was, didn't know who Wallace and Gromit were, and that was a bit of a shock. I thought they'd be everywhere. I mean, they've won awards. So yeah, Wallace and Gromit. There's good grief. Where do we start? This is a short game, and I've seen it argued that it's not even a game, that's an experience. I would argue it is a game, because there are puzzles involved. I wouldn't say there's skill involved in some of the odd mini game or two, because it's too simple to need skill. But there's puzzles in there, so you do have to sort of like think in order to progress occasionally. But it's really, really short. I didn't time it, but is an hour? Would you say that's about right? How long did it take you guys?
Maybe a bit longer, yeah, an hour 15, something like that. It depends, really. If you get stuck on some of the puzzles, can take a little longer. But yeah, it's around about an hour, 15, 20 minutes, something like that. Yeah,
it's not a long one at all. And a lot of the time, he sort of just stood there listening to story as well. It feels like half of it actually is just you stood there listening to to Wallace or Beryl, the floating little robot drone, sort of like spout on at you. And I don't know where to start with the graphics, because it captures the feeling, it captures the essence, the look of a Wallace and Gromit animation. There's no doubt there. The problem being it's frame rate, and we're not talking the actual sort of frame rate of the game or even reprojection. We're talking about the animation style, because obviously Wallace and Gromit is like a stop motion animated cartoon, or and they've done the same with this, and we've mentioned this before. It's not good. It's not a good look at all. The animation for Wallace when he's walking around or animating or moving, it feels like it's done at I don't know what frame rate, 12 frames a second, maybe it's 24, I don't know, but it's that stop motion look. And when you're moving your head and turning and looking around, and it's smooth, when you look down at your hands, or when you inhabit the little robot caddy thing, you've got like arms as well, and that's all smooth. Yet the characters animated in the world are juddering around. It just feels as bad as reprojection, probably sometimes even worse. And it's not even a consistent design decision, because obviously it is a design decision, but it's not a consistent one. Like the little drone you can see on the screen at the moment flying around. When it flies around and moves around, that character, it flies around smoothly. Where Wallace, when he walks in a very sort of slow frame rate stop motion type of way. So the drone flies around smoothly, but the little sort of flaps on the side, the little fans, propellers it's got, they're animated in that stop motion way. So you've got this character moving around smoothly but animated jerkily, and it's a total contrast, and it just looks awful. I just couldn't get past it. What did you think? Could you get over it? Because it really bugged me.
Well, I'll pass it over to Lee, because I've literally only dipped in and out of this one when my daughter got stuck. So the one thing I'll quickly mention before I pass it over to Lee is that I don't know if you guys played the game Luna, like a little hour-long experience that was released a long time ago, where there's this bird that flies around, that kind of thing. It's got a similar kind of aesthetic with the animation. It's almost like stop motion. And I didn't actually mind that, but then again, just hearing you speak about it, Rog, everything within that world behaved in the same way. So it's a little bit more easier to sell that look, I suppose. If some things are not behaving that way and some things are, then I guess it could be a bit more jarring. But I didn't mind it in that particular one. But Lee, what did you think?
Yeah, I probably agree with Rog. It is a little jarring, especially when Wallace is walking close to you or walking off into distance while he's playing golf. It it's that thing of the trying to create that stop motion look, but with it being animated in VR as well, it's hard not to feel a little. I wouldn't say queasy because it didn't make me feel motion sick. Maybe some people might get a little motion sick, or some people might even notice it at all. But yeah, there was definitely something about it that is a little off-putting. Yeah. But you get past that, the game is, like Roger says, very Wallace and Gromit themed, and it actually got me watching the movies. So I went and watched all the movies again. They're all available. If you're in the UK, you can catch them, well, nearly all of them on BBC iPlayer. I think one of them, a loaf of bread and Dep or something like that, that's on ITVX. So a little tip for you there if you want to watch the movies over Christmas. But yeah, I actually didn't mind the game. I was in it quite a bit and did manage to complete it eventually. I know, like, Gary got stuck at one point and had to ask his wife for help, but I don't know if you want to mention that.
Yeah,
Gary, or not.
No, I wasn't going to mention it, Lee, but now you brought it up.
No, that puzzle, that electricity puzzle.
It was, the bit where you have to go down. I mean, no, I kind of spoiled it a bit, but as you do these few puzzles, you can see them now. You're doing like, it's a bit like the fairground things where you're shooting the balls into the mouths and things like that to make Wallace get across faster. And there's a like a Simple Simon puzzle as well, right? And then another one I can't remember. So they're very, very simple kind of puzzles to do. But that one, you're creating parts for the spaceship, and then you're supposed to go further down, but I didn't even realise that. So I was like, what am I doing here? I can't, do I turn? Do I move? I've got to make this thing. It does get a little confusing in some of the puzzles, Yeah.
Well, this is the thing, isn't it? It's there's no free motion in this game at all. No. It's teleport only. And even then, generally speaking, once you've finished a room, although that part you're on about, yes, you sort of like have to go to a different area to do it, and you hold your hands up like a pair of binoculars to your head, and then you can sort of aim and teleport, and you have to hold a button, and then it takes like 3 or 4 seconds for the little thing to go round in a circle, and then you teleport. So this is not, it's, I don't know, it just doesn't feel good in that regard. I can see why they've done it. It's made as very much as a intro to VR sort of game, I think. You're not going to get ill playing this, putting somebody in for the first time. They're not going to get motion sick, I don't think.
No.
I do think as well with me, because I'm interested in Wallace Gromit. I remember like back in the day really enjoying the short films. They're about half hour long, aren't they?
Yeah.
Each one, and I enjoy it. And then I had kids, and between the age of 3 and 8, and I'm going to be careful here, I don't want to exaggerate, but I'm pretty sure I've seen these films at least 1 billion times. And that's the problem. I do feel a little bit like I'm sort of past the Wallace and Gromit thing, so that IP is not enough to drag me into this. And if it's mini games and what I've seen so far, it looks good, and I think if you're into the IP, it would probably be interesting. My kids are playing it, my wife's playing it, and maybe I'll go through it. If it's only like an hour and a half long, I'll probably go through it as well at some point. But it's one of those things, it's almost like a cliche VR IP thing from what I'm seeing anyway, and maybe that's to be expected.
I mean, I think I liked most was the very beginning part where you're a golf caddy and Gromit's making you, and then he appears in front of your face, and he's walking around. And they've got all the mannerisms exactly right from the programs, and Gromit's sticking his eyebrows up, and when Wallace is saying silly things and that. And they've got all that down to a T. And even looking around the living room, you've got your breakfast in your slippers, and all the lights are on the wall. And after watching the films, I can see more little things that they've included from the films as well. So yeah, I really enjoyed all that part to it.
Yeah, it's a cheap game. I can't remember how much it is now. It's
£11.99.
That's it. Yeah. And obviously, it's under a tenner. If you use a 25% off code, it's under a tenner. So it's one of those. It's a bit of a tricky one. If you want something for the kids, then it's probably a good buy, because they're probably going to get maybe a younger player's going to get maybe stuck on bits of it here and there. And like I say, that electricity puzzle was just...
Dude, I got stuck.
You got stuck on that. You said
I got stuck on that.
Yeah.
I got stuck on the end bit as well.
But the thing, the thing is, that electricity puzzle, there's no reason you should be stuck. It's just there's like 5 or 6 sections to it, and like on the 4th or 5th section, for some reason, it just doesn't want to get around the final bit, and it just stops moving. And I knew you'd been stuck on it. I didn't even see what you said on Discord about how to get past it, and I just couldn't get it to do it. And it's just this one section out of 5 or 6, and all the others work fine. So it's frustrating.
I think it's more of like a tracking thing as well. It's difficult. I mean, I don't want to give spoilers away for the game as such, but it definitely could be something related to tracking as well. And if your tracking's not that great, you could have issues with that one puzzle. And it's right near the end, so it's a pretty big thing.
But yeah, anyway, yeah. So yeah, Wallace and Gromit, £12, under a tenner if you use it under use a discount code by Ardament and a bunch of other developers by the look of it as well.
Yeah.
I mean, I enjoyed it. For what it was, I enjoyed it. And it has got like is it Jamtastic? It's got a mixed reality element to it as well. You can play a very quick game where you're shooting jam against toast. I did try to capture some footage, but I can't. I'm struggling with this MR stuff. I'm struggling to get my room set up. It keeps putting things through the floor, through the wall, and
I couldn't get it centered properly either. Half the stuff was stuck in the wall. I didn't understand the actual MR setup on it. It was a bit confusing. But yeah, it is what it is. It's not expensive, and if you don't like it, refund it. Okay, so next up we've got Lego Bricktales. Okay, so this has been played by Gary, Lee, and Mrs. Dazed.
She's been on it non-stop. She's been on it every single night. I can't even get on it because there's only one save game. But we'll get into that later.
Yes, we'll get into that later. Yeah. But so what did you think of it? Because I did pick this up and. Oh look, reprojection. I refunded this in 10 minutes. I'm past reprojection. No, reprojection, refund, next.
It runs in reprojection, and in this one, it didn't bother me almost in any way whatsoever, to be honest. But we all have different sensitivities with regards to that. But what I'll say, so the footage I'm showing here at the minute, this is my daughter playing. And, I'm employing her to contribute to the podcast. I think it's about time that she got a finger out, to be honest. So she's, this is the footage that she played. Now, I've been in as well. We're basically taking it in turns to just play through different sections on this game at the moment. And I really like it. I really do. And there was somebody that was talking about this on Reddit because it's got this mixed reality mode and then you can go into full VR mode, which is what I'm showing now. And somebody was saying that if you go into MR mode, it actually reduces the resolution in half. They said in half. I don't know if it's literally in half or if it just lowers the resolution down, because it does look a lot worse in mixed reality. You can see the aliasing and stuff.
Yeah, there's no anti-alias in it in the MR mode at all. It looks really jaggy at the edges.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I'm okay. I've sort of gone back and forth playing it between sort of mixed reality and in full VR anyway. But I do really like this. The essential concept of making these structures where you go into a separate area, you get to a certain point in a level and you need to make a structure to enable you to get to a certain other point or do something else. I like the aspect of it's all like it has to be structurally sound in order for it to survive a certain amount of time and to carry a certain amount of weight. And just that central premise of this, I think, is quite enjoyable anyway as you progress through the levels. It looks really good. It does, especially in VR, as we've said. I think there's a lot of detail in all of these levels. And initially, what did you think of this, Lee? So going through that first part, I felt like there was a hell of a lot of reading. There was not a lot of gameplay. And when it introduces you to this level and how it works, it's just it feels a little bit too long-winded to me.
Yeah, it is a bit. I mean, also, when they're doing the text, it sort of makes like that brick building sound, doesn't it? From the films and stuff like that. And I couldn't find a way to turn that off. Did you find a way to turn that off? Because that was really getting on my nerves a little bit. Because there is a lot of dialogue in this, but it's very Lego humory, if that's even a word. But yeah, I really enjoyed it as well. I thought it was great. I didn't even notice the reprojection until Rog mentioned it, and then you can see it on. You've got like little blue circles for controllers, haven't you, in the game? And when you move those slightly, you can see it. But apart from that, the reprojection never really bothered me. I did get a slight bit of eye strain now and again. I told Roger about it. But yeah, the detail on it's fantastic. And it's like, what was it, Gary? Like 400 meg, something like that?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it's not...
it's a small download.
It's hardly anything.
Yeah, it's not a lot, yeah.
It might have been like 350 or something like that. It's a small download.
But the reprojection, to me, so you can see it, on the blue things that you're holding. If you move those, you can see it. If you physically move around the level, if you really look for it, in my opinion anyway, if you really look for it, you can see it. If you move the level around sort of manually by holding the controllers and rotating it in front of you, then you can see it easier. But yeah, I don't know. It's like one of those kinds of games that the reprojection doesn't really bother me that much, to be honest.
Yeah, I was same. I'm exactly the same, yeah. I mean, it's very like Demeo style, so you hold both grips, don't you, to rotate it round and forth to see where you're going. And I was talking to Miss Tate about this. I was on about reprojection, and she said, like, well, what's that? And I kind of explained it, and she just said, I can't see anything, you're just moaning for moaning. So I mean, she's new. She doesn't play VR.
She should be part of the VR community.
Yeah, she just said, I can't see anything wrong with it, and then she just carried on playing it. So it just goes to show someone totally new to VR may not even pick up on it anyway. But I'm with you, Gary. I couldn't really see it that much. But no, I just love the design of it. I love, like you say, making these. You've got, when it starts off, you've got a puzzle to do. It's got all the bricks laid out in front of you, haven't you? And you've got like a square. Where you've got to put everything in this square, and it's got to be, like Gary said, you've got to have it up so it's viable for a certain amount of time. Because put like a little robot across it, don't they, for the weight and things like that. And my missus has gone from making these really weird structures to now, when I caught her playing the other day, because she's been streaming it on the TV so I can watch, they're like Michelangelo jobs, what she's doing now. So she's definitely got better at making all these designs as well. So creativity-wise, for the kids and stuff, it's definitely a great fun game.
I think just with regards to the reprojection, I'll go back to this as well. It's like honestly, for people that don't see it, and a lot of people won't see it if they first go into it and stuff, and that's the best way to be. It's like a Matrix quote: "Ignorance is bliss." That is absolutely true.
Yeah.
So
if you can't see reprojection, you've won. You've absolutely won when it comes to VR. Yeah. Anyway, Lego Bricktales, Clockstone Studios, £23. Obviously, use a discount code as always. Next up, this one, I don't think either of us have played it a massive amount. This is CookieRun The Darkest Night Chapter 1.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, so VR mistake number one here is never include Chapter 1 as part of your title. You're going to put people off. You really are. It's a massive mistake, because if someone comes out with Chapter 1, there's rarely a Chapter 2. But that aside, from what I've played of it, like I said to you on Discord, Lee, this isn't bad. I was kind of surprised. I was expecting something really awful, and it's okay. So you've got the premise: you wake up as a fresh cookie man in an oven, and you've decided you've got to escape.
There.
Yeah, it's basically the Shrek cookie guy, in it.
It's very Shrek-like.
Yeah. And you soon meet the cookie wizard, and he guides you out, and you learn to use like a candy cane as basically a weapon and beat creatures up as you're escaping. And then you eventually end up at a marketplace. I haven't really been much further than that, in all honesty. It's really not far in. But it sort of opens up, and you've got like a marketplace, and you can buy stuff. There's weapons to buy, there's stuff to upgrade, and it sort of opens up. You go from your candy cane to you can get like a sword. There's various slingshots to get, different ammo, and the premise is you're in a witch's castle. You've escaped from the oven in a witch's castle, and you want to leave all the cookie brethren to freedom, which apparently can only be done by going out the main gate. Now, if this main gate, I don't know if this main gate is actually a gate or a portcullis, because I thought if it's a portcullis, you could probably just walk through it. But apparently, these little cookies aren't big enough and tough enough by themselves to open the front gate of the castle. But there's a legendary huge cookie monster that might be able to. And I'm thinking, hang on a minute, this is Shrek again, with the huge cookie monster. So yeah, it's kind of like an actiony RPG light. It's cute, it's twee, it's not bad. It's the only thing that annoyed me about it was it doesn't hold frame rate all of the time. For a lot of the time, it's smooth enough, and it's smooth enough to be playable. Don't get me wrong there, but I just wish they could have got rid of the small drops that there is every now and again and just made it flawless. Because the actual scale of some of the scenery is pretty decent. It looks big. It gives you that sense of you are small, you're a small creature in a very large, oversized world, or in a human scale world. What did you reckon, Lee?
I was surprised by it. I think once I've gone more in depth of trying to find out some more of the storyline to it. And I think this is mobile games as well. So
yeah,
there's quite a few CookieRun mobile games, right?
I didn't know about it, but I think you mentioned it. I went and looked it up, and there just seemed to be a series of mobile games. So I don't know if this is one of those games ported over directly and sort of VRified, or if they've done it from scratch. I'm not sure.
But no, I do like the story to it so far. They've gone very like Hollywood with it, haven't they? When you first start and you got to wake up, little cookie man, escape, and it's like you're like the chosen one. The prophecy, is it true? Is it you? And it's all one of those. And when he first picks the canes up, that made me laugh because he says, "Oh, it's as if these canes were made to fit my hands." Yeah. So it's got some quite funny humour in it, and yeah, I mean, I've only played as much as just a bit further than what you can see on the video now if you're watching the YouTube video. And then I've saved it there. So I've just been busy doing loads and loads of games.
We've really not played this enough, really. Yeah. This is a very basic first impression. This is not any way, shape, or form. I've got to get into
it some more. It's definitely one that I'm going to be playing more of. And I just want to thank the devs as well, because they actually reached out to me on Twitter and sent me a key and wished me Merry Christmas. And they actually sent me a really nice message. And then I proceeded to be a little cheeky and say, any chance I can have 2 keys for watching Gary? Which they just gave me straight away and said, there you go, enjoy. So, I want to thank them very much for it. But it's one I think I mentioned it on the Lads podcast. I'd seen the trailer and it looked really cool. And by all accounts, it's getting some good reviews. A couple of my VR friends have played it and they've really enjoyed it as well. Yeah. So, I definitely want to play some more of it. Yeah,
it's just, I don't know, it's just one of those things where I expected something that was going to be garbage and I was sort of pleasantly surprised to find it wasn't. It seems fun enough.
I mean, the backpack's quite cool as well. When you pick the backpack up, you grab it to your chest and you pull it out, and the inventory's kind of cool. I quite like that. I mean, there are some of the options I wasn't keen of, which I maybe mention to the devs. Some of the things which seemed a bit odd, which we'll probably mention later on when we talk about various other things. But overall, getting into the game, it seemed fun. It's got some good voice acting. I actually thought it was Optimus Prime that was the bad guy to start off with. It sounds very much like him. And definitely want to play some more.
Yeah, I mean, it does raise some sort of existential questions when it comes to the sort of like the sort of like sentient cookies and wanting to escape from the oven, which surely the oven would be the life-giving thing for the cookie. So I don't know.
Wow, we're getting deep on this.
Envision.
But so anyway, this is Studio Fresh Dough, and it's 23 quid. I mean, I don't know how long this game is.
I think it's a few hours. I think it's like 2.5, maybe 3 hours.
Maybe more of a 15, sort of 17.99 sort of price tag might have been a bit sweeter, but I don't know. Like anything, it's on the Quest store. Use a code, give it a go. If you don't like it, refund it. Might be a good one for younger players actually, as well. I mean, I enjoyed it, but I think younger players might really get into that.
Although, a little tip for you, when you're actually playing the game, you can pick the candy canes up. They're actually stored behind your back, so you can reach over your back and grab them as if you're grabbing a sword. Oops, sorry about that. Do you guys hear that?
Yes, and you suddenly went very faint.
So I just knocked my mod mic over my head when I was pretending to go over my back and grab a sword. But when I went into, you go into like a Choco Drop realm, which was shown on the video, and I went in there and totally forgot to pick all these candy canes up, so I had no weapons, so I had to redo all the beginning parts. So a little tip for you there from the pro.
It's all right. It's not bad. So one of the bigger games recently. Sort of anticipated ones. Arizona Sunshine 2. Anybody want to start off on this one? Because I've said this before, I wasn't a fan of the first one, even though I did come to it quite late. And in all honesty, I'm not that much of a fan of this one either. And I know it's probably going against everybody else on the internet from what I've seen, but I just thought it's another zombie game and it's more of the same.
Yeah, I think we're going to have different opinions on this one because I can understand actually where you're coming from, because it is very, again, a little bit like Genotype when I was speaking about that. It's a little bit generic in the type of genre that it's going for. Yeah. And I think that this is a little bit generic too for that. But having said that, I really enjoy it. Despite that, knowing that at the back of my mind, I am still having a great time in this game. So I think Arizona Sunshine 2 is actually really good. And I do think they've upped their game from the first one. They've added sort of melee combat in there as well, which you use at various times in this. You sort of get a weapon and then it quite quickly breaks anyway,
Yeah.
so you can only keep it for a while.
Yeah.
So it's generally sort of you're shooting the zombies anyway. But I think there's something about just the simple fact of progressing through a single player game or co-op, you know, if you want to play this co-op as well, which I'm not opposed to. I think the fact is that you go into these different areas, you're exploring these different areas and you're doing certain things. Now, there's a lot to criticise about this as well. That's the thing. So I want to be generally positive first off, because I am having a great time and there's no doubt I'm going to finish this. I'm currently 3.5 hours in. I was trying to get it done before Asgard's Wrath 2 released, but I'm not one of those people that necessarily has to have one game on the go at any one time anyway. I just wanted to get it done just because of the you know, the scope of Asgard's Wrath 2. But I didn't get that, so I'm over halfway through, around 3.5 hours, maybe 4 hours into this game, and so there was some criticism about it being a little bit short. I think this is a difficult topic because it's not a cheap game as well. It's £44,
Yeah.
and you know, if it's maybe 6-7 hours long, I think it's a tough thing to say. People will put weight on how much value they put in certain things in a game, and length obviously is one of them.
Yeah.
But I just first impressions, just to get that out of the way, I absolutely love this game, and I'll get into some criticism in a moment. But what did you guys think?
Well, I'm just looking at the video, which is this your video, Gary?
Yes, yeah.
Dude, you don't think I've got this far in the game, do you?
I'm just looking at the brightness levels because we talked about this, and you said you had to alter it drastically. You drastically altered the slider or the value.
Absolutely, yeah.
Because I'm thinking there's dark areas here what are looking very over bright to me compared to what this should look like. And the first thing oh, God grief, I got into the sort of like first dark area in this game, and it's like your torch comes on, and it looked useless. It looked absolutely useless. It's like I don't even know why it's even there. It's barely illuminating anything. I don't know whether they were trying to go for atmosphere or if it's more balanced for an OLED screen. Maybe it looks better on PSVR 2 because we've not played the PSVR 2 version. But it's so bad. They must have noticed it. They must have seen it during the development. It's terrible. It's the worst torch I've ever seen in a game. And it really wound me up.
It is bad, yeah.
Just yeah. I mean, to me, it's borderline unplayable. So just to clarify, this is the PC version that I'm showing, and I think we've all played it on the Quest 3. Is that right?
No, I've not played the Quest 3
it's only the Steam version.
No. I mean the Steam version through Quest 3.
Oh right, sorry, yes,
yeah. So what the only thing I can think is if it's been calibrated for different headsets, because there's no way it's right. The way it is standard. So what I would recommend, if you're playing on a Quest 3 through virtual desktop, which again, the streaming application might make a difference, I don't know, but I had to reduce the gamma down to -22 in order to make it playable. It's borderline unplayable as it is as standard, because there's it's so dark and the torch does almost nothing. It's ridiculous, honestly. So yeah, I mean, I would recommend that. It is absolutely There's no way you can defend that. It's ridiculous.
I'm just looking at the video now. It just looks really washed out in areas that shouldn't be. That should have sort of like darkness to them in places, and it's like you should not be having to alter a setting that drastically just so you can see what you're remotely doing.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think the only thing I can think is if you're using AirLink, if it's different, or if you're using a different VR headset, it doesn't have that, and you don't need that. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I
don't know if they've. Sorry, go on, Raj.
Sorry, I was going to say, because I was using virtual desktop, and normally I have those color enhancement options enabled.
Yeah,
and I thought maybe that's trashing it. So I went and disabled those, and there was just no difference. It was just still as bad.
I did the same thing as well. Yeah, I did exactly the same.
Yeah.
Well, with the darkness thing, I was, because first off, you start off the game. There's another one that made me quite laugh when I picked if anyone's new to the game, when you first get the game, when you first wake up in your trader type thing, pick the buckle on your left up. And that's all I'll say.
Oh, yes. I tell you what, that is an absolutely most valuable tip because he doesn't stop talking.
Yeah.
If you don't do that. Yeah,
exactly,
and it's like a bug. There's a definite bug in that, yeah.
But no, I'm really enjoying it as well from what I played. When I first went into it, I went in it very quickly. Some of the controls I found were really jittery with me. I was having trouble picking things up now. It is you can kind of pick quite a lot up on this, but it's got like a little circle that appears, and when that circle appears, that means you can grab it with your grip button.
Yeah.
And I have found, Rog, that actually when I went through it again and played it from the beginning again, if you get your hand in the game to literally where the level is of wherever the item is, it's easier to grab. It's not like Alex where you can just grab him from anywhere and pull him to you like a Jedi. It's a bit more tricky on that one. But on the dark levels, yeah, when you first go into, you like lift a shutter up and you get your torch and you like pick a cowboy hat up, don't you, and things like that. I'm thinking, I can't see a thing here. This is really annoying. But saying that, when I got further on, and I don't think this is really any spoilers because this is before this part, when I was in the mall and it's like really, I was like an airport thing, it's like really foggy, and in the distance I could just see these shadows and silhouettes of the zombies walking about. That kind of gave me chills a little bit. I was like really drawn in with how atmospherically dark it was, and I couldn't hardly see anything. And I thought, well, yeah, this is probably what it would be like. You would be trying to sneak around in the dark with your really crappy torch, trying to find things, and I really enjoyed that part, yeah.
The airport part is actually where I changed the gamma level because I thought this cannot be right.
I like that. I like how you done that
because there was obstacles, but you literally can't see the obstacles even.
No, you can't see anything. No.
There was one point I got stuck, because I literally couldn't see a doorway. Yeah, and it was only sort of like I was flailing about at one point, and the little orange circle briefly flashed up over where the handle was, and that's the only reason I knew there was even a door there. And that's just ridiculous. It's just absolutely ludicrous. This was not calibrated for a Quest 3 screen, or at least playing the PC version via wireless on the Quest 3 screen. It's not right.
It does look better on like virtual desktop. I did try it on Steam Link and I was getting really bad frame drops. That could be, user error or my end, but on virtual desktop, I was really enjoying it, and I love having the dog there as well.
Oh yeah. I mean,
the dog better not die, or I'll never forgive the dev. So
I don't know.
The interaction with the dog, though, trying to put a different hat on the dog, because you put hats on the dog, because why not? And it's like, for like 9 times out of 10, it just would not register that I was trying to, like, the hat was over the dog's head at all. It was just really, the interactions for me were just so damn flaky. But like you say, picking stuff up, it got to the point where instead of just reaching out and trying to grab something, I was stopping, reaching out, waiting for that orange circle to appear, and then grabbing it.
You do.
And it's like, it just breaks the flow.
I got more used to it though. I did get better at doing that. And plus with the dog as well, I actually dropped my gun at one point and I thought, where's my gun? And it was on the side of the dog.
Yeah.
So I don't know how to get on, and I couldn't get the dog to stand still. I don't know which button you press, the whistle or whatever. And I was like running around. I was basically running around past the zombies, trying to catch up with the dog so I could get the gun off it to kill the zombies.
Just there on the screen as well. That happened through solid walls to me on several occasions. I stood next to a wall, and all of a sudden I'm taking damage from a zombie that's in a totally different room.
I was just going to say, that did happen to me as well. That's very annoying. That is. But I will say, so some of my criticisms basically mimic yours. I think the simple fact is that the interactions are finicky sometimes, especially when you're getting bombarded by all these zombies and you're picking up ammo and you want to put it straight into your... So you pick up ammo off a table, you want to put it straight into your gun, and it seems to just lock onto your chest. So you're storing it rather than holding it and putting it in. I don't know if there's... I think there's a setting to bring the ammo in a little bit, because everything feels a little bit too far away, so that when you're manipulating things, it's like you're constantly interacting with stuff that you've got stored rather than just stuff that you're picking up.
Yeah.
So there's frustrations with all of that anyway. But I think, to be honest, the fact that I'm going through a single player game like this, and there's not a lot to it, it's not really that in depth. But you do have a little bit of a story there, and you're going to different areas and you're progressing through. again, like genotype, that's almost enough for me, and I am really having a great time in here.
I think
Perhaps you can help me as well, Gary, because I'm stuck. I did see on the video that's showing here, you open up some sort of like case, a bit similar to the one you've got there, and it's got like a grenade on one side, it's got a Molotov cocktail on the other, and then you put that in the middle, and it shows you these items left and right. But how do I actually make them? Because I'm stuck. That's the bit I'm stuck on.
You just pick them up and then just push them together. That's it.
Oh, is that it?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
So you know which bit I'm stuck on? I've literally come out of the airport part, shot that lock when loads of zombies come through, because you pick up an Uzi. That was quite cool, bro. Going through ammo really quick on that. And then I've got to the next part where you open that up to get your various goodies, and I'm like, I don't know what to do. I'm stuck. Does it tell you how to do that in the game, though?
Well, I honestly can't remember. But one of the things with that as well is the amount. Why have they not got a backpack? I really wish they had a backpack.
You can't tell how much stuff you've got on you, do you? Every time
they've got
bar ammo.
They've got. Yeah, you've got the ammo. I mean, the other things are all these like consumables that you get, like metal and stuff like that, which just goes away. You don't know where that's stored anyway. But if you make a grenade or whatever, a Molotov cocktail, then you've only got 2 places to store stuff.
Oh, you can put them on your wrist.
Yeah, you put them on your wrist. And usually I'll keep a bit of food there and then maybe a grenade in the other one. The problem is, I feel like they've taken cues from Half-Life Alyx, because that's exactly what Half-Life Alyx did. They stored things on the wrist, but in this particular game, it doesn't make as much sense, I don't think. I think they need a backpack.
No, I don't. Yeah.
To store more stuff. Because there's almost no point in making one grenade. Like I can store one grenade, great. I've got all of these resources where, I could make 10 grenades, but there's no point because I can't carry them with me. So what's
and it gives you that more added depth of more like a survivor element to it, doesn't it, as well? Just grabbing the backpack out, chucking things in there, slinging it back over your back. I mean, that's what Walking Dead does so well with the backpack. Yeah, I agree with that. It would be nice to have something like that.
You've got other things. You can store stuff with the dog as well. I understand that. But even so, I feel like there's like missed opportunities that are so obvious that could make this game have a little bit more depth. And I guess that's my one criticism overall. It's not got enough depth, and it could easily make it a slight change, a tweak in the design could give it more depth.
This is the thing. It's like, for me, I mean, I know this has been getting absolutely brilliant reviews and everything every year, but for me, this is 7 years later, and I was expecting more, especially given that everybody's sort of raving and hollering over it and how good it was and everything. And it's like, really? It's not. Maybe it's just me playing, maybe on that, not past few weeks, but I've been playing a lot of sort of, generally speaking, flat screen games, and maybe that level of quality is just, what I mean? I'm just missing it from VR now, and I was expecting maybe this to sort of be up there, and okay, not the same sort of level of quality as like a flat screen can manage, because given the performance you need, but I don't know. It's even just the level of polish is just missing. Like say with the interactions with picking objects up, with the inventory management, with the zombies glitching through things. It's like it's just missing something.
Yeah, it's one of them where it's going to be a really great game several patches down the line. But how many people will be going to it then or coming back to it? That's the thing. It definitely needs a few patches on it.
It's not a bad game at all. It's not a bad game. It's just I don't think it's a great one either.
I don't think it's absolutely great, and I also think the price is probably a little bit too high, to be honest. That's what I will say. But there's no doubt that this is drawing me through, like the first game. To be honest, it's like there's something about it where I do want to get to the end of the game, and that's the thing that's drawing me through it. And I can't even point to anything specific that could be, because the story's not really that engaging. It's okay.
I think it's being in it. It's because you're in that world and you can see all around you as well. I mean, like I said, when I got to that bit when it was all dark and gloomy and the zombies were walking by in distance, I'm thinking, right, I'll try and work a path through to get to these. And it does stop and make you think a little bit. And I'm really liking it as well. I think co-op, it'll be a great game to play co-op once there's sort of a few of these issues out. And I think we're not the only people to raise it. I think the further on, I think Dr. Greg mentioned it as well, the further on in the game you get, the more bugs it's got.
Right.
Oh, right, okay.
So once they sort those out, I'll quite happily jump in co-op with someone. The humour's there. I mean, I've said humour about 1,000 times. Don't take a shot, by the way, everyone, if I say humour, but it's great. I think it's really good, yeah.
The humour didn't land with me at all. The whole Fred thing, which just...
yeah, the Fred thing, yeah, well, yeah, that's what it is, isn't it? But
yeah.
I think I don't mind it. People will complain about the fact that you've got the character that you're playing constantly commentating on stuff that you're doing. And I can absolutely understand that. To me, it didn't bother me either way, really. I mean, it didn't really make me dislike the game, but some people seem to really take a dislike to that, which is fine. I understand.
Yeah. But anyway, that's Arizona Sunshine 2 by Vertigo, £44, and it is cross-buy. So if you've got PC and Quest, you can try it on both. Next up is probably the biggest release, maybe, at least for as far as Quest goes. Anyway, Asgard's Wrath 2. Now, there'd been a few previews for this, sort of singing its praises, shall we say? And I was totally disillusioned. I just didn't think in any way, shape, or form, just before I played it, that this was going to be any good. And wow, where's that surfing a humble pie? This is...
Sorry, I'm just covering on the video. I didn't want to see that part. If people are watching the video, you know what I'm on about. Sorry, let's carry on.
Something sagging for you.
Yeah.
This is really good. This is from my point of view, unexpectedly very good. Do you want to kick it off, Gary?
Yeah, I can do. Yeah, so I've played around, I think it's around 3.5 hours, 4 hours maybe in this. So I think I played around 3 hours on the first day. Yeah, which is not really like me. Yeah,
this literally dropped 48 hours before we started recording this podcast. So I think I've had maybe 4 hours. Now I say 5 hours in it because I did have an hour down doing the sort of the roguelike section as well.
Okay, yeah. So I've not done
an hour and a half. I'm about an hour. I'm a noob anyway, and I got stuck, so that's no surprise to anyone there.
But yeah, so I've got through all of the usual stuff. The beginning section is a little bit long-winded, maybe. I don't know. I still enjoyed everything that I went through in that first section anyway.
It is a bit long.
Yeah. Before you get some agency, like true agency in the world, it takes a little bit of time, but that's fair enough. With this type of game, I'm okay with that, especially, we've heard it's sort of 60 hours long. And I feel like that's a bare minimum. A lot of people seem to be talking that it might be a lot longer than that anyway. But this is another one of those games which I've spoke about in the past where I'm in no rush to work my way through it or complete it or anything like that. This is a game that I'm going to have in the background and jump into whenever I feel like I'm in the mood for this type of thing.
Yeah.
I like having that staple of games to do that. So, I'll just quickly then, overall impressions. I think it's fantastic. There's little doubt that this is true AAA on a mobile platform, and you can take criticism. The thing is, you look at like the textures and some of the resolution. We're all playing on Quest 3, and it's not perfectly sharp or anything like that. I think mostly it's sharp enough right now, and maybe we can get into the fact that they are going to be adding a Quest 3 patch maybe sooner than we might have expected, but we're not certain on that yet. So, but the fact, I mean, honestly, I would really like to try this on the Quest 2 as well, because if they've got this running and looking almost as good as it does on the Quest 3, it's a shocking achievement, and it's smooth. For the most part, it's smooth. They've got all these systems in place. This is like a PC game on a mobile platform. It's shocking to me. I absolutely love it so far. What do you guys think?
I've got just as point going on to the sort of it's smooth comment. Yes, it is for 90% of the time. I don't know. It's that you do get little hiccups and glitches in there, but this is nowhere any way, shape, or form as bad as Assassin's Creed Nexus was for me. No, I think you pointed this out, Gary. There's a difference between a game that runs at a native frame rate, because this isn't running in reprojection. This runs at a native frame rate, and when you do see the occasional little dips and glitches here and there. But when it's running at a native frame rate to begin with, that is nowhere near as bad as running all the time in reprojection and then getting little hiccups as well.
I think just quickly to interrupt, I think the point is it's where I feel like it makes sense. It's like in this game, you get a hitch where it saves, or you get a hitch where you're entering a new area.
Yeah.
And those kinds of things, it makes sense. In Assassin's Creed, it didn't make any sense. They were just seemingly
all
random.
The time.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I can always see like a little hiccup when it sort of goes, when you get near one of the little save, I don't know what they are, those things will come out the ground, don't they? Your sort of teleport points. And it's annoying, but I sort of think, well, there's so many sort of flat screen games that do that as well, unfortunately, although generally on console it's not as bad, but you do see it. And I can live with it. The other thing, just performance-wise, is when you're going through the world, players can leave like a outline of their avatar anywhere they want in the world. You can sort of point and leave like your avatar there doing a gesture or whatever. And it gets ridiculous as you're traversing across the landscape. They're all over the place. It is stupid. You can turn it off. There's also another good reason to turn it off as well, because I noticed that sometimes when these avatars were appearing, I was getting little performance hitches as well. Yeah. So menu, turn off the avatars showing up. Performance hitches go away. Thank you very much. It looks better because it doesn't look as stupid, and it gets rid of those little
is
stutters.
the purpose of those things? Do you know? I
do not know. I don't know if it's there to sort of, you can point and provide hints or clues to somewhere there might be to explore. They've tried to do a Dark Souls type thing.
Yeah.
The problem is it puts a solid sort of like blue avatar, and they're all over. Like, I don't know whether they thought it would make it feel like the world was populated. No, it just makes it feel like it's really annoying. It's a dumb design decision, but fortunately you can just turn it off anyway. But yeah, quick premise for anybody who's never played the original. You play sort of as a god who can possess sort of mortal heroes and give them imbue them with your power, and then you take control of that mortal, and you go around and do your quests. But also at points you get to this sort of areas like this is one now, isn't it? You go into like a god scale mode. You'll be in sort of big temple area or an arena or whatever, and it all shrinks down so you get like a god's eye view, and then you can start manipulating things within the environment for like the little mortal hero to be able to progress further or whatever. It is good. As I've got further on, I'm trying to sort of think if the mix of combat versus puzzles is right or not, and I've not played enough to know really. The opening hour and a half is fairly linear, isn't it? When you're going, because the first hour and a half is basically a tutorial, and you will get a lot of pop-up messages and everything. But that first temple, until you get outside, that is basically, you've got to treat that as the tutorial, and it's a long tutorial. Lee, what did you reckon? How far have you got on it?
Probably just slightly. Well, if you watch all this video, what's on YouTube, that's basically as far as I've got. When I first loaded it up, it was. What do you guys think of the haptics? This is the thing. What shocked me the most. I thought the haptics were fantastic and the controllers. That when I went through, you both viewed because the recap. For those who've not played Asgard's Wrath on the PC, you can actually see a recap, and it gives you some like a story and background of how things happen.
I loved it.
That in itself was amazing.
Don't skip the recap. If you get that option, you think I've played the first one, don't skip the recap because it's
so good. And
it's stunningly good, yeah.
Yeah, the haptics were brilliant, and then you get to play a little bit where you're fighting like a giant eagle thing, and I just thought all the controls seem so natural. And you see on the video when you're jumping up a few things, you're doing some wall runs. I mean, it's a bit weird like pressing A to do a wall run, but the bits where you're grabbing and pulling up, I had no issues holding on to ledges or pulling up on things.
Yeah,
and I thought it looked really good. I don't want to get into the drama what's been going off on X or whatever, but and given 1-star reviews and stuff like that, just because it's not got the Quest 3 enhancements, and that's just pointless.
I think we should just touch on that quickly, because people are sort of reviewing this badly based on the fact that it was given away with a Quest 3 if you purchased a Quest 3, and it's not really got any enhancements at the moment.
Yeah.
To me, I mean, look, I get, I'm in two minds about this because people talk about whining unnecessarily about certain things, and they'll often talk about this with frame rate and reprojection and stuff. I don't consider that whining unnecessarily. I think it's a valid point of view, and equally, I think it's a tough situation with this because you think this is, if the Quest 2 didn't exist and this was just a Quest 3 launch title, you'd think there's nothing to complain about at all.
Yeah.
But knowing that this one's equally as well on both platforms, I think that's what sparked all of this stuff. And so, yeah, we are getting the there's been an announcement from the developer to say that they are going to look into some enhancements for the Quest 3 with an announcement next week. So we'll wait and see on when they arrive. But the one thing I'll say on that, and sorry to interrupt, Lee, on your thoughts on this, but I was just going to say that there was an initial... one of the developers, I think the executive producer of the game, did say that it was running in 90 frames per second on the Quest 3, and it doesn't seem to be that it is. And I think they've said that that's a bug. So
I think it was the executive producer on Reddit said that it's a bug that will be fixed.
Yeah, so we should get some kind of enhancement anyway. Yeah. Regardless, I mean, I'm okay with it. I'm somebody that really, I don't like performance problems or resolution problems or anything like that. I think there's a place to draw the line, and I think, to be honest, this is perfectly fine.
I mean, it looks great as it is. This is what I find annoying. I mean, it's one of the best looking games on Quest 3 as it is now.
Yeah, you can see the resolution there.
Yeah,
and you can see aliasing, and yes, stuff in the distance does look a little bit. It does look soft.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what it looks like on Quest 2, but on Quest 3, it does look a bit soft. Yeah, but it's not game breakingly bad or anything like that. You've got to accept this is a mobile platform, and what they've managed to do is pretty stunning.
Don't you think if this game released and looked like this on the PSVR 2, there'd be no complaints? That's the thing. I think that the fact is that because people have a Quest 2 and a Quest 3, and this doesn't necessarily look that much better than a Quest 2, that's where the complaints are coming from, not from a point of this is what we've got.
Yeah, I did load it up with Quest Games Optimizer and bump the resolution up because it seems to run at default as that at the 100% setting, which is like 1600 by 1700 roundabout there ish. So I bumped the res up so it was vertically. It was just over 2000, which I think was something like 120 something percent scaling, and it still looked a bit soft in the distance, but it definitely reduced some of the aliasing on some objects I stopped noticing sort of like, visual aliasing on sharp contrast edges. So, the thing is, if they bump this up to 90 hertz, it's like, how much performance is that going to use? I'd rather them just keep it at 72 and bump the visual quality up.
Yeah,
I didn't know it was 72 until I think Team B put a post out, right? And I said it to you, Gary. I went, this can't be right. I thought it was supposed to be 90. And that's when you were looking into it last night, and it is running at 72, right? But I just thought it was 90. I couldn't tell any difference. It ran super smooth for me.
Yeah.
I'm the worst person in the world to notice differences in frame rates once you get above a certain threshold. Once you go above 60, it starts becoming difficult. In a headset, I can see sort of panel flicker on 60. Once you get into the 70s, I can't see the panel flicker anymore. And it's like we've gone over it countless times. It's just I find it tough to tell.
I mean, if they give that like little bit more quality, a bit more sharpness, I'll go back to Dungeons of Eternity. When you click the Quest 3 enhancement mode on, it just sharpens everything what looks blurry in the distance. It just sharpens it all up, right, Rog? And it looks absolutely perfect. So if they do something similar to that, just by toggling a switch and it just sharpens that distance up and some of the softer textures, I'm happy just to keep things as they are.
I just don't want them to do anything that's going to negatively impact the performance what's already there, because it's not perfect. It's good. It's definitely good enough, but it's not perfect, and I don't want to see that lowered. Maybe they can sort of add a bit of detail texture-wise on the Quest 3, because you've got a couple of gigs more extra RAM, haven't you? So maybe you can get the odd sort of bit of texture in there.
That's what makes it look a little bit more like a mobile game, the texture resolution on certain things in particular. But Yeah, I mean, I'm honestly okay with it.
Yeah.
But yeah,
you can see level of detail kick in as well. It is quite noticeable if you look for it. But it's, you know, it's if this was on PC looking like this, I would be getting a bit annoyed at some of the compromises. But you've got to keep in mind this isn't on PC. This is my biggest criticism of the game entirely, that there's no PC version. Because you look at this and you think this is really good, and then you sort of think, what could it have been? You know, what could this have been if there'd have been a PC version? And that sort of makes me a bit sad.
I've just got to get used to the controls of it as well. I think because I've been playing so much Dungeons of Eternity, I'm just used to blocking a shot and then just going hell for leather and killing them. And this one's slightly different. You've got to time it right. And I wouldn't say it's as bad as what Assassin's Creed was for me personally.
No, it's
like
not
that at all. But there is a slight element of that where you do have to wait for them to do time strikes and then block it, and then you can, you know, hit them back and stuff like that.
Absolutely.
But I've not got far enough into it yet to see if that's what it's like all the time or not. Perhaps you guys can elaborate more on that.
Well, I was going to ask you what you thought of the combat on this, because I think to me it's like a mix between Assassin's Creed and Dungeons of Eternity. It feels a little bit like that. I think actually this is probably the minimum bar of what I would like for combat in this type of game. I don't want it to be gamified too much where it takes the agency away, because you do still have agency in this. This is the thing. You don't need to parry before you have to attack. You can sort of work your way around and try to do it. There's a best practice. There's a best way of doing it, but that you do have options.
There's a necessary way of doing it, though, on armoured enemies, because if you just attack an armoured enemy, a lot of the time, you just won't do anything to them.
Yeah.
You need to parry them to open them up in order to break their armour, which takes away that I can play it any way I want sort of feeling. I wish sometimes it'd at least let you chip away more at the armour just by attacking them, even if it didn't like destroy it entirely.
You know, so on that point, because I've noticed that when you hit like the shields of certain enemies, they'll sort of chip away, but they won't go, will they? Yeah,
that's a nice detail actually. I liked that on the wooden shields. When you're attacking somebody, they will gradually break and shatter, and that was nice visually. But yeah, on some of the heavily armoured enemies, sometimes it's just like you keep attacking them and you're just doing 0 damage because you've not got that parrying to open them up to that attack that will let you shatter their armour. So, you know, I just wish it wasn't as strict as that on some of their enemies. I don't know, or maybe if you get if you level your weapons up more, maybe that, you know, the lower level armoured enemies will start taking damage. I don't know.
Yeah, just felt. Have you guys played, just out of interest, Blade and Sorcery before?
No,
I haven't.
I've never played it. No.
I'm aware of it.
This is sort of like to me, this is the best way to do combat in a game, and I know it's difficult. That game is centered around that level of doing combat, and it's so good. It's all physics based. You can block, you can parry, you can do all these things, but you also have options to work around the systems that they've got in place. And I really wish they could incorporate that kind of stuff into a game like this, because it makes it's more real. That's how it feels. It feels more real.
I mean, the combat is definitely dynamic, and sometimes because you've got like, you know, you can throw your sword, or you've got like the what is it? Not
the axe thing. I've got like an axe.
Axe-ish.
Yeah. You can throw that, and sometimes they'll just like dodge out of the way, or sometimes they'll just parry it altogether and deflect it, and it just the
enemy AI seems pretty good so far. It's so good, in fact, that they just keep kicking my ass on the tutorial. So I've got to really try and get good, basically.
I did start it on hard. And it got to the point where some stuff, because you get like, you've got health, and then you've got divine protection in it, which is basically a shield, a shield indicator. And so if your shield was gone, then the health bar was pointless. It was like, you take a hit and you're dead. So it was either I'm alive at full health or I'm dead. And it was getting a bit ridiculous. I was dying a lot, so I've put it down to medium. In all honesty, I don't know if it's lowered the difficulty that much.
Well, I was just going to say, Rog, because quite honestly, sometimes I'll get one hit and I'm down to 1% health immediately if I've not got that shield part. It feels a bit weird. That does a bit off kilter, to be honest.
It felt like the health potions were pointless. I was either alive. I always seemed to be either alive with all my health or I was dead.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't think I've actually used a health potion. It's like, which brings me to another point. The health indicator on the bottom, I turned it off because I didn't like it being there. It was getting in my way. But if you turn it off, there's no quick, as far as I can see, there's no quick way of just turning over your wrist and seeing a health indicator
on your wrist. I thought that as well. Yeah, it's great idea to have that on your wrist.
You've got a compass on your left hand. Why? I've got a health indicator in my shields on my right hand.
Yeah.
Why have I got a big floating indicator? This seems such a strange design decision.
So on that point, right, when I went first into this game and you select your options, it says you can have like a immersive no HUD.
Yeah.
That's one of the options, isn't it? That's the one I selected. Now the health, when I selected that, I've still got a HUD for my health. Maybe it's there was a bug or something.
If you go to the
I clicked the same thing. I thought it was immersive as well. I thought it was like full range, smooth locomotion and all that. But I still had snap turning. So perhaps I clicked the same thing as you, thinking that's what it meant. Because the HUD that you can see on the video now, that's the only thing that I've got. Is that normal? Or?
Right.
That's what I've got.
You can, if you set, when you start the game and you go into the tutorial level and you can set all your options up as to how you want it. I don't know if you remember or not. Once you get to the end of the tutorial thing, it basically asks you again.
Yeah, that's what we're on about.
How you want to play it, and it's like
that's what I did. And
and it didn't save all the stuff. Some of the stuff I'd set up, including the sort of like the smooth turning and whatever.
Yeah.
It totally reset once you got past that tutorial introduction section where it says, "Oh, how do you want to play the game?" Which is an hour later or whatever. Even though I chose immersive mode, it reset all my options. It's because obviously that is there, I suppose, in case people sort of go, "I don't want to play the intro" or whatever.
Could be.
So it asks you again, and it's but.
But you do need a health indicator. That's vital.
Well, I want a health indicator that isn't there on my view, because each time I go down to pick something up off the floor or something, suddenly that's there and it's in my way, and it's a bit annoying. But interactive wise, this works. It's like you compare how you can, you can kill enemies, stuff gets scattered all over the ground, and I've got both hands reaching out and grabbing and pulling stuff towards my chest to store it, and it just works.
Yeah, it's easy.
It's
a big difference coming from Arizona to this.
It's night and day.
Big difference on it.
It's night and day. Yeah. But yeah, absolutely massive thumbs up from me. I mean, played 4 or 5 hours. There's no way I can tell if it, how well this keeps on going before you sort of maybe if any sort of fatigue sets in or whatever. But it feels. I was talking to a mate who picked it up as well, who's primarily is a PC gamer foremost. But he's got a Quest, and he'll play it on a weekend, have a game of Walkabout or Dungeons of Eternity now recently. And he phoned me the other day.
Hold on a minute, where's my invite?
To be fair, we were playing with a mate of his who works with him as well.
Yeah. Right,
so we did have 3. And he phoned up and he'd put it on as well, and saying he's like generally he spends his time in, I'd say, AAA PC gaming. He said he put this on and he played 3 hours straight, and he loves it. It is good. And like he said, it feels like in an overall scheme of things, if you're comparing like to PC gaming as well and everything, so far for him, and again probably sort of 4 hours or so, it feels like a solid 8 out of 10.
Yeah.
If you're comparing it, if you're talking VR, especially Quest VR gaming, then you can see why. Yeah, you can see why people would give it a 10. It's top tier for mobile.
A lot of people, I agree. I completely agree with that. I think there are a lot of people that have been playing this. I've noticed on forums, and they're saying it just feels like a generic RPG, and in many ways I suppose it does, but that's like the beginning of what we need in VR anyway. We just need a generic good quality RPG to work our way through, because when you compare it to Skyrim, I think there's actually there's almost layers of depth within this game which go beyond Skyrim in some ways. Really? When you open up that menu, don't you think that there's all of these different categories of certain areas that might even go beyond that?
I don't. The thing is with Skyrim, for me, even though the melee combat in Skyrim was terrible. Yeah, if you play Skyrim VR, you play a spellcaster or you play like a ranger. You use a bow. Yeah.
Or mage. Yeah.
Ranger or a mage. But for me, Skyrim was always about the exploration and some of the sights you could see, which were just absolutely incredible. And you're just not going to get the same in this. But
are you not? See, I feel like I'm so early in this that basically what I'm seeing is what you're showing in this video here. That we've got desert, some mountains or cliffs and stuff like that. Maybe you're right.
The thing is, you can still get that sense of scale, and it looks amazing. But you're not going to get the graphical quality of even an unmodded Skyrim. It's just and the lighting and everything, the graphics, everything.
No, I'm not talking about that necessarily. I'm talking about like the depth of the systems that are in place, really, as well. I think that the depth of the systems are. I mean, I'd say they're beyond, in some ways, beyond Skyrim. Just the depth of the systems, not necessarily the graphics or the scope of the game. And I will take your point, actually. I do think that the thing is, you go into Skyrim, you've got these villages, and then you can see the mountains and stuff in the distance. This is not that. And you also do have very short loading screens as well between areas and stuff, which sort of, I'm hoping that, I don't know how it progresses, that's the thing. Because you think of an open world, you do think you can literally travel without loading screens in these outside areas. Yeah. And I don't know if that's the case in this particular one anyway.
Skyrim didn't manage that either.
Well, it didn't manage it in the dungeons and stuff like that, but in the open world area, like where you're literally travelling from one area of the map to the other, you can walk it, you can walk that. You can't walk that in this, it doesn't seem, without a loading area.
No. But I mean, the other thing to say as well is we've all only seen that first character you control, and there's 4, isn't there? I think altogether, there's 4 different mortals. I think there's 4 different mortals that you get to control over the course of the game. Yeah.
I mean, I've seen a few clips. I don't want to. I won't talk about them, but I've seen a few clips where it just looked. I thought this looks unbelievable. If this is what the game's going to be, and we've not even scratched the surface. I mean, you're 4 or 5 hours in, Rog, and you're still doing I've heard people say once you get to Act 2, whatever the Act 2 is, I don't know if you guys are on that yet, that's when it starts ramping up big time.
Yeah, well, this Saga 2,
Saga 2 is basically the start of the desert area. Yeah. That's where we are.
If I'll ever see that, who knows? Do you know what I mean? So, hopefully I get that to one day.
So, I was going to ask you, Roger, actually, you select, so to get to that second area, the Saga 2 part, you have to select a mission out of 4, is it? 4 separate submissions or something. Is that right? Do you remember that? Or
I can't remember. You can teleport back to your previous areas.
Yeah. I was just thinking, because in order to progress through the game, I had to select from one of 4 cards, basically, in order to, like a side quest almost, but that's when it opened up the area to go to. So maybe I
remember the table with all the side quests on, and it sort of shows you the hover over the table, and then I just picked them up, but they were just the side quests.
Yeah, but that's what it made me do before it would let me progress.
Oh, right.
If I'm remembering, maybe I'm wrong.
Well, it does send you around that entire watchtower area, doesn't it? Visiting different areas.
Yeah, it does that first, and then in order to progress to the next point, I had to select one of those. So I thought, because we seem to be going through the same mission anyway.
Oh, that's why. I think you go through the different characters in order. You don't pick which one you want to do. You start off in Egypt. There is a story. There is a progression there to the story.
Okay,
you don't. Yeah. It's like the first game. It's like the first Asgard's Wrath. You end up. There's different ones to control, but you progress through it. You progress through that in a linear fashion.
I see. Yeah.
I do like the menus as well. The menu system is really cool. The only thing that I was a little saddened about was when I actually quit the game and the lady calls you a puny human. That bit made me laugh. But yeah. I thought that looked really good as well in the menu system.
Lots of sort of stuff to configure for rotation speed and the like, which was, I mean, I've got it set on just over halfway, I think, on that slider, and that's plenty fast enough for me. And I think I'm on about 260. I think the value I've got, and I think it goes up to 500. Is it? Because I put it on
500, yeah.
I put it on like somewhere around 400 to start with, and it were way too fast. But it's just nice to see that option there for once.
Well, I put it on 500 and then nearly fell over.
Yeah,
when I spun around that quick, I'm like, who wants it this quick? This is ridiculous. Yeah. But to say we're always moaning about smooth turn speed, that was it's a great addition to have. And like Roger says, put it about halfway, and you should be fine.
Yeah. Any other thoughts on it?
No, I loved it. It's one of the it's one of the best games you can get for Quest, if not the best. You know what I mean? I've not played enough to get into it, but
it feels like a PC. Honestly,
it's so polished,
it does feel like a PC game. Not necessarily in terms of how it looks, but in terms of depth, it feels like a PC VR game.
Yeah, and compared to other sort of hack and slash VR games, it definitely feels more feature rich. Without a doubt.
We've not even scratched the surface yet, have we, really,
no,
in the game?
No.
Probably a load more features going to be unlocked when we get better levels and things like that.
Yeah, it feels like a must-buy, absolutely.
Definitely, yeah. It feels like there's a million things to learn as well.
Yeah.
Like, you need to... It's a true, full, in-depth game in my opinion.
I mean, in that watchtower, there's side rooms, and I think there's only one of them so far that's got something in it. There's the other ones, there's nothing in it yet. It's like, there's stuff to unlock here that I've not got to, but it's when you consider the tutorial level, level's an hour and a half, and you can finish Wallace and Gromit under that. It's
It's the best intro to a game I've seen as well. Do watch the recap. And when Asgard's Wrath comes up and it's got flames all around and stuff, and the haptics, like I said before, it's got the best haptics I've felt in a game so far as well.
Yeah,
it'll just blow your mind.
That opening section is great. It just does scale, doesn't it? It does scale from the off.
Well, that's the thing. I was thinking you could put somebody like a VR noob into just that opening animation, and you think this is going to blow them away.
Yeah. The fact that they've gone to those lengths as well to do that, when they could have just gone straight into the game and not mentioned anything about Asgard's Wrath originally, but to give people that bit of backstory and how they've done it and what they've incorporated, like Gary says, with the scale and the haptics and the visual sense of depth and things like that, it's a massive sensory overload, and I think people will just be blown away by that part alone before they even start playing.
It's a good game.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, definitely. It's a must-buy, I think. Definitely. But Sanzaru games, £45, and if you've just bought your Quest 3, then you should have it for free up until sort of January time sometime.
I believe end of January, but sometime in January at least.
Right, onto another sort of a big name game, which we've only played the demo for, myself and Gary, and this is Resident Evil 4 on the PSVR 2. Capcom. And has this gone up in price? I thought this was under sort of £50. It's £55 at the minute.
They had it on sale though.
It was on sale for it was £24, and I thought that were half off. So it's like, it feels like it's gone up.
I'm trying not to laugh. I'm really sorry. Have you read what Roger's named this, Gary, on the on the doc?
No,
just have a look at the doc.
Oh yeah, I have.
Do you want to read it?
Moving on. I mean, I was expecting this, and it's like, I knew I was going to be disappointed, and I am, because it's in reprojection, and it's as simple as that, and I've had enough of it. I went and played through the demo again last night just to capture some footage for the YouTube video, and I wasn't. The first time I went through this, I was just angry. I really was angry. I know people have been loving this, but the reprojection on it is just, it's the same reprojection as on any other game, except on some of the fonts they use on the front end menu. If you move your head, you can't even read it. It blurs to hell, because some of the fonts are really fine, and because of that, you just turn your head, you move your head slightly from side to side. It's just this blurry mess. I went in again and I played through it last night, and do you know what? There was something. I really want to play it. I desperately want to play it, but I just know I'd be thinking about the reprojection all the time, and it again. It just makes me sad. I want
60 to 120 again.
Yeah, I want a PS5 Pro, and I want them to patch it, but. I think if we get a PS5 Pro at some point, I think it'll be all the small indie devs who rush out the patches,
Yeah.
To get rid of the reprojection. I don't think the likes of Capcom and whoever will go back and bother changing it.
So do you think they can't get these games to run at 90? Then I think it's 90, isn't it, for the
for non-reprojection? Minimum for non-reprojection is 90. Yeah,
but they can't get it to run at stable frame rate, which is why they keep banging everything from 60 to 120.
Yeah, you think about it. This sort of stuff that they're aiming for 60 frames a second on a flat screen, aren't they, to look as nice as they possibly can? So to push that into 60 on a headset as well is probably a big ask. So to push it further beyond that, yes, I get it. It's a huge ask, and you would have to compromise stuff. But for me, it just spoils it. I know there's plenty of people out there, because I've seen all the reviews, I've seen all the Twitter comments, and like, you know, there's everybody seems to be absolutely loving it, and it just spoils it for me. And I don't care whether it's on PSVR 2. I don't care whether it's on Quest. Like with Lego Bricktales, which is minimal reprojection on Lego Bricktales, but do you know the thought I had with it, and it came from playing that and this, and then I thought, hang on a minute, you know, it was earlier this year, end of last year, I played through Resident Evil 7 on PSVR 1 for the first time in reprojection, and it sort of annoyed me, but I got through it more, and I thought, why could I cope with that, and I can't with this, and I can't with Village, and I can't with Horizon, I can't with Bricktales, for goodness sake. Do you know what it is? It's not the worst thing for me. I don't think it's the turning and seeing it visually, the world visually, the reprojection on it. I think it's my hands. Yeah? It's when I look down at the hands and I see my hand physically move, and it just doesn't feel like there's something ethereal about it, and there's something, seeing that double image on my hands, what I'm directly controlling. It's just, that's what really says no, I just don't want to play this. Because Resident Evil 4 on PSVR 1, Resident Evil 7 on PSVR 1, that was played entirely on a joypad. You don't have any in-game hands as such. And I could play through that, and, you know, I got through it, and fine, but once my hands are in the game, I want to see my hands smoothly moving. And I think that more than anything is what takes it away. Because like with Bricktales, like, the worst reprojection is just those small blue sort of circles what you can see, which are your hands in effect. Moving and rotating the table, you can see it a little bit juddery, but like you say, the reprojection isn't that bad on that. But on those small circles, which are my hands, it's drastically visible. And it's like, no, that instantly put me off. So and like Gran Turismo 7, I played that a lot until, you know, I think like I said before, I've had enough of it now. But I could look past the reprojection in Gran Turismo 7, but I've not got hands.
What about, just on that then, because Synapse, so...
Yes, I know, I did think about this.
Yeah, well, I'm sort of with you. There's definite like levels of how much it affects game to game, in my opinion. And Synapse...
Has somebody got an Alexa delivery?
Yeah, that's it. I just unplugged it. Blue pop. But yeah, I think Synapse is one of the ones... And like No Man's Sky, like I was talking about at the beginning, there's levels of how much it affects you. And there's definitely, like, I'm not completely opposed to reprojection, but in Resident Evil Village, when I tried it around Paradise Decay's house, and when I've played this one, I played all the way through the demo. There's something about this which is way more. It's like to the point where I can't enjoy it. It's not that it's making me motion sick or anything like that. It's just that I can't enjoy it. That's all it comes down to.
I think it's that level of what is happening again. It's like, are you sort of... With Synapse, it's very action heavy. Yeah, your brain is constantly going, where's the next one coming from? That thing over there, grab this, pick that, throw that, shoot him. There's like a constant thing. You're distracted. The game is that active, it distracts you. With Resident Evil, you're slowly and cautiously making your way through this world, trying to closely observe things. A lot of the time, you're waiting for something to happen. And so, it's not action-packed, and you're not distracted enough, or my brain isn't distracted enough to sort of, you know, to make me ignore the whole reprojection thing. Where with Synapse is one of the few games where, yes, I have got hands... You know, I've got agency in the game, and it does enough to distract me away from the technical side of it. Where something like Resident Evil, It can't.
Just to quickly, before, because I'll talk about this quickly as well, but if you're enjoying this, just go ahead and enjoy it. You don't need to listen to us talk about this. If you listen to our podcast before, you know our views on it, and it's like you can feel free to ignore us. We do seem to be in a minority. We really are. And it's getting it's getting absolutely outstanding reviews everywhere, and rightfully so. The game, like this game in VR, is fantastic. And here's a question then, Rog. What do you think about? So Brad Lynch has mentioned about the fact that the PSVR 2 has this slightly higher persistent screen in order to get the higher dynamic range.
Yeah.
That combined, to me, I mean, this makes perfect sense. That combined with reprojection is the part which makes this intolerable to me, because it's so dark and you get black smear all over the place. Any slight movement, you're getting blurry. It's a blurry mess, honestly. That's my honest thoughts on this. Any slight movement you make with your head physically or strafing or anything like that, it's a blurry mess. And that's just how I feel. And I don't know if it's to do with the persistence combined with the reprojection or whatever.
I mean, it's got to be a cumulative thing, hasn't it? It's I mean, I'd like to see like the PSVR 2 screen with zero persistence and reprojection to see what it's like. You know, if the thing is, persistence is something which I can see, but it's one of those things. And again, it's just personal. It's a personal thing. But sort of screen persistence doesn't bother me anywhere near as much as seeing the double image from reprojection at all. 90 hertz games like Tales from the Galaxy's Edge, I can see the persistence. I can clearly see the persistence. It doesn't bother me. I can easily ignore it. But that's just my brain being able to easily ignore that. And I know there's people out there who can't, and they absolutely hate it.
Brad can't very quickly elaborate on persistence, what we mean by when we're talking about persistence.
It's
just for people that don't,
it's the way it's the way the image can sort of stay there on your. It's to do with the switching time of the pixels, isn't it? Basically, it's how quickly can pixels switch from one to another without almost like an after image staying there. And so, at 90 hertz, I can see it in Tales from the Galaxy's Edge. At 120 hertz on red matter, I can't.
Yeah. So it basically turns on and off the screen. That's what it does. So the screen is more off than it is on, actually.
That's how. With low persistence, it actually it basically blanks out the screen. It's not enough for you to see it, but it's enough to sort of like fade out the previous image before the new image kicks in, and so you don't get like an overlay.
What people were saying as well, the reason Sony have managed to achieve HDR on the PSVR 2 is because they've allowed it to be a little bit more persistence. In order to do that. And I don't know, look, here's the thing. I'm playing No Man's Sky quite happily. It's got reprojection, but it's a brighter game, and it's a different kind of experience to play in this one. We've talked, we've spoken about reprojection on this, so we don't like it. We understand that.
We always say we're not going to harp on about it.
I know.
We end up doing so.
We're becoming a parody of ourselves. This is the problem. I don't want to do that. But as a game, like, imagine this without that reprojection. This would be a fantastic game. You've got these extra things. People are complaining about like the VR mechanics within this game as well. How it's not quite as much as RE Village or anything like that, and the cutscenes and all these things. I'm honestly willing to take that to get this kind of game in VR anyway. I don't care about that as much.
It can be a bit annoying. You walk up to a door and it's like press X to open the door, and it's like but because it is a conversion of a previously existing sort of flat game, I'll take it. I'll take it rather than not having it. What I can't take is my eyeballs being assaulted by smearing graphics, trying to make me look like I need a new prescription.
The thing is, you look at any reviews. I've been watching reviews on this. I've been listening to podcasts on this, and everybody's universally positive on it. Some people do mention Mash sees like blurriness in this from Q2C. If you keep your head perfectly still and look at the floor, it's crystal clear. It's so good. Yeah. But as soon as you move your head, you're screwed again.
Yeah. I say, playing through it the second time, the demo, there was a part of me going, I really want to play this. And I actually did think at the time, thought, did I make a mistake not buying it when it was on sale? I don't know. And I don't know whether I could push me. It's, there's an absolute thing of me desperately wanting to play it. One side of my brain's going, play it. And the other side's going, no, don't want to look at that. And it's like, yeah. Like we said before, if it doesn't bother you, you've won.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. I mean, yeah, just enjoy it if you're enjoying it. You don't need to listen to us. There's no point in that. It's just what I said initially as well on Discord. I said I went into the demo, played through the demo, and I said it's not for me, but people that enjoyed RE8 are going to enjoy it, and I think that's true. If you enjoy it,
yeah. Oh yeah. If you liked Resident Evil 8, you're going to love this.
Yeah, definitely.
It literally is as simple as that. Yeah, we've gone on about this far too long.
Yeah, let's get on.
So, one thing which we'd sort of stopped mentioning for a few podcasts, it's sort of gone away a bit, hasn't it? Walkabout Minigolf have come out with their Meow Wolf course, and best course ever, possibly. I think so. Lee?
Yeah, I do. I love it. I mean, people will know that I'm a big advocate for Walkabout Minigolf, and yeah, there's some of the holes, what they've done, the physics, they've really gone all out. I know we've said it before, sometimes on other courses like Laser Lair and that, I wouldn't say that they've been lazy on Laser Lair, but some of the holes are just a bit meh. We have had some flack about saying that before, but on this, it looks like they've gone all out to make almost every hole something that they've not done before, or add on to what they've done before. And all the holes some of them are just mind-blowing, really. Yeah. I mean, this one here, if you're watching the YouTube video now, you'll see, I don't very often do this, but Rog, this one's for you, if you want to keep watching. This Roger's amazing attempt to get, I mean, I sucked on this hole, but Rog just drops a hole in one, as he does. And then you see Gary flying up from somewhere because he's back in the distance looking in all the nooks and crannies a lot. So there's just that much to see with it, right? And I'm not really... I don't really know too much about the Meow Wolf. In fact, the first time I ever heard about it really was because of Walkabout Minigolf. So
me too.
Yeah, and it's like some sort of big art collection or big.
It's some location based sort of thing you can go to, isn't it?
Yeah, like Las Vegas and things like that. But just some of the holes on this are just genius. Like this one, you hit a ball into the big circle beam of light, and it all splits off into different colours, and the closest one to the hole, that's where the ball reappears.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love this course. I think it's brilliant.
The entire design is just utterly sort of batshit, basically. It's and I love it. It's absolutely bonkers. It's brilliant. It's the best design course that they've had. There's new mechanics. It does new things, and in some cases, like with the way it splits the ball, it'll use it on maybe 2 or 3 holes or something. But then that's it. It doesn't use it on every single hole. There's one course you visually go into it, and it's very retro. And it's like, it's just a surprise, and it does it for that one hole, and then it never does it again. It's just little bits like that. They don't overuse it. Like with Laser Lair, there's a laser, and it's going to split your balls in half every single hole.
If anyone wants to clip that, feel free.
This must be like the most. This must have taken the most work.
For
sure.
It looks gorgeous in the headset. It's it's brilliant. It's like I've not been in Walkabout very much, but we played a couple of rounds together, didn't we? Then I jumped in with my mate and his workmate. We played that one Saturday morning. I jumped in it with Bluebell, Michelle, and Artful. We went in it and we played around, and it's just. Yeah, it's the first time I've sort of kept wanting to jump back into Walkabout in a long time. Say 20,000 Leagues were my personal favourite before this, and now this takes it. It's just brilliant. I think they need to get more. I think they'll need to look more outside their own design team, not to sort of discourage their own design team, but I think they need to look more to other sort of, because obviously this is based on something that exists, isn't it? Some sort of weird, whatever it is, conceptual art thing, whatever.
What's your favourite? Lee, like after this one, if I don't know if this is your favourite or not now, but what is your favourite course in Walkabout?
Well, that's a tough question, isn't it? It's like asking which one of my kids is favourite.
What you mean? You know, but you're not going to give an honest answer.
Yeah. I don't know. I really like the Atlantis course, but
I do. I was going to say Atlantis. Atlantis for me, I think as well.
I think it's because it just gives that feeling that you are under the sea.
It looks good, but it's not got the best holes. That's the thing.
This is it. This is Atlantis is a visually excellent one, but it's the holes. The holes are lacking. Say 20,000 Leagues for me because it looks good and it plays well.
It does. It is really good.
After that, I think the Mist course. I really enjoyed that just because visually, and it has got a few different. I
really like the Haunted House one. What came out and the end of October as well. I really like that one.
Yeah,
I've only played that once.
Yeah, I've only played it once as well. Yeah. What about they need like Back to the Future? They need more of these IPs.
Yeah. It would be nice to get things like that and more movie things as well. But it's I guess it's funds and money and things like that. But how good they did with the Labyrinth course. You could have a Goonies course. You could have, type of all these 80s Goonies. Retro type things. It'd be brilliant to have things like that. But
Goonies, I do know, going down,
going down the ship and stuff. Down the chute and that, and the ship coming out, and that'd be great. But have you seen what one they're doing next? I think it's the one they're doing next. It's actually on the Shack. So I think they're going to finish off the Jules Verne trilogy and do the Around the World in 80 Days. I think that's the one that's coming next.
Okay, yeah.
Don't quote me.
I mean, good grief, that's got such a scope, hasn't it? That for variety, it's like. Do you think they should maybe even sort of do it as all, because all these courses, they're all in one basically, aren't they? For the most part, the Meow Wolf one's got a few exceptions where you sort of go through a portal and you're somewhere entirely different.
Yeah.
Now with the Around the World course, now it take a lot of work, but if they pack all the different locations into one visible course, I think that could be a mistake. It feels like you should be going around the world to different new areas. Maybe have a couple of holes, in England, in France, in Egypt, wherever. Yeah. But each of those areas should be their own self-contained.
I mean, to be cool, if you could use the transport that they used to get. One bit they use a hot air balloon. Maybe at the end of one hole, you step into the hot air balloon, and then it flashes, and then you're in the other area and stuff like that. That'd be kind of cool. But I don't know if they'd go to something that far. But they always do really good things. You know what I mean?
I read the novel for the first time the other year, and I was surprised. There's one. I can't remember if it's the hot air balloon or not. There's one of the modes of transport what's always in the films. It isn't actually in the novel.
Oh, it might be that one.
It doesn't actually exist. I can't remember what it was. I might be wrong on the hot air balloon. I can't remember, but there was something. And Phileas Fogg in the book is totally different as he's ever portrayed in any of the films. He's not a great guy.
I've never read it. You've got me intrigued now.
I went on this thing of like reading sort of classic novels that I'd never got around to reading before. So yeah, but yeah, Meow Wolf, £3, pick it up, best course in my opinion. Okay, finally on the list, we've actually got a bit of hardware. I picked up the Kiwi battery strap for the Quest 3. It's currently £46 instead of £49, which is a quid less than I bought it for. I'll have you know, it was £47 originally. They've dropped it another quid. Absolute recommended thumbs up from me. This is really good. A mate of mine picked it up on my recommendation as well, and he got his a couple of days after I got mine. It did take a couple of weeks to turn up. I don't know how long the shipping is now. But I got it directly from the Kiwi store. That includes the shipping, the price. Comfortable. Seems pretty well balanced. The battery life, I had my Quest charged to 100% and the battery charged to 100. Well, as in the lights had stopped flashing on the back anyway. Mate did the same, apart from his Quest was 3% lower, so he started on 97%. And we went in and we played. What were we playing? That was on playing Dungeons of Eternity, the morning playing Dungeons of Eternity and Walkabout Minigolf. At the end of it, the battery on the back had died and my Quest was down to 30%. His was down to 27%, so it had matched it. It had maintained that 3% gap, so we dropped at exactly the same rate. And we'd been playing for, I think it was 3 hours and 15 minutes in total. So, and they still had 30% left on the Quest battery life. So if the Quest normally lasts an hour and a half, I probably had just short of half an hour left, somewhere from 20 minutes to half an hour left. which means that the battery on the back had easily at that point given us 2 hours minimum extra life off of one charge. I've talked to him since, and he was querying me on this because he was saying he'd been playing something and his battery had lasted him 3 hours before it had hit his Quest battery. But like I said to him, it is game dependent. It depends on the profiles and the GPU and the CPU profiles of the games you're playing, how hard it's going to be hitting and draining your battery. So I'd say at least 2 hours extra battery life off of one charge, which might not be enough for some people. For me, that was more than enough. It kept us going for over, let's say, 3.25 hours on a Saturday morning, and that was enough for me, and it's been enough for me since as well. It really makes it obvious that the worst part, comfort-wise, now is the default facial interface of the Quest 3, because that's the only thing I feel like I can. That seems like, this is sort of uncomfortable now, because the back padding in the top is a padded top strap as well. It lifts the weight really well, and it's like VR cover of delayed. They've announced, or I think it was Spooky Kid on the Rendered Reality Discord. He posted a message. I don't know if he'd got it or somebody else had, of a VR cover replying saying that their Quest 3 facial interface is now delayed until sort of mid to late January.
Yeah, that's what I've heard as well.
Which is unfortunate because they originally said December. So I don't know. I'll keep looking around at other solutions, but I'm not entirely sure.
What do you think? Do you prefer the Bobo like Halo type strap in terms of comfort? I mean,
I would say this is more comfortable. And I don't know whether it's because. I don't know. It's balanced. There's no Halo thing on the front, so there's a little bit of weight. There's a little bit of weight lost from there. So maybe it sort of helps weight wise. I don't dislike Halo straps at all. The PSVR 2 with the CMP2 comfort mod is just great. It's really, really good. I can't compare this yet because of that facial interface on the front. That default Quest facial interface. I think that with a padded sort of pleather interface, I think it will probably either equal the CMP2 mod, or it might be slightly better. But I think it'd be to a point that either or, I don't care, for which would be the best comfort wise. And it's two entirely different headsets anyway, so that's irrelevant.
I would say probably the Pico was more comfortable. The Pico 4, when I got the comfort enhancement for the top strap, like it's quite thick on the Kiwi there, I can see in the picture.
Yeah.
When I got that on, it made that. I think it's because you've not got the pressure. You do get a bit of pressure from the Halo on your forehead. I think that's probably what you're alluding to, Gary. But with the Pico one, it was like the most comfortable headset I've used. And with that and a decent fascia, I think will make the Quest 3 loads better.
I went from using the Bobo M2 on my Quest 2 all the time, and then just thinking maybe I'll go back and try the Elite strap. Like this Kiwi design, basically, it's exactly the same. Going back to trying that, and it was like a bit of a shock to think, actually, I think I prefer this rather than Halos. And since then, I've gone away from that Halo design. I don't think the PSVR 2 or anything like that is necessarily that bad, but there's something about, like, now I've got a Quest 3 and this kind of design, I honestly think I prefer it. So
the thing with the Halos is I don't think they're bad as long as you've got a top strap supporting it as well, because then it's just something else. It's just an extra layer of weight distribution, where a Halo by itself, like PSVR 2 out the box, was, after an hour, it was giving me a headache. It really was. Yeah, with the comfort mod, the CMP2 mod, with the top strap as well, it's, like I said before, I called it the most comfortable headset I've ever owned. And it still is. I've got no issues wearing a PSVR 2 with that comfort mod at all. And it's because you've got that top strap supporting the weight over the top, and you've got, and then you've also got the Halo as well. But obviously you've not got anything on your. Well, the thing with the Quest 2, and some people might not like in using a facial interface, is you're putting weight on there generally, aren't you? But when you've got like a facial interface touching your face, and you've got the top strap as well, and the headset's overall balanced front to back, then it's every contact point is helping distribute that weight. So it's I want to get a VR cover or equivalent and try it, because I think then it might take the crown ever so slightly as the most comfortable one, just because it's distributed front, top, and back. Whereas with PSVR 2, even with the comfort mod, there's nothing to stop it sliding forward any. Really, it is still that halo. So.
I mean, one thing with the Bobo to say, I mean, I'm not a big fan of the fascia, but I mean, I suppose the more you use it, the more it softens up. But I started using it without that, because you've got the ability to do that with the Bobo. And to be honest, I quite enjoyed using it. I used it like that for a couple of weeks and had no trouble with it. And I think people have printed some 3D bits out now, so you can sort of get that Quest Pro type headpiece on and things like that. But I mean, I had no issues doing that, but I would like to try the top strap design as well, just to compare, really.
Yeah, I'd sort of, because I always use the Bobo after I got rid of the Vive DAS. I always use the Bobo on my Quest 2, and I always thought it was really comfortable. But I think I'd forgotten how good a top strap could be. So if I ever went back to a Bobo, I think I'd prefer maybe the M1 style, where it's got the front to back strap, rather than just the Plus, with the top strap, you don't feel it at all, do you? Because it's that soft and it's that thick material. You don't even know it's on your head. The only thing I'm sort of feeling, and because it feels so out of place, is that default facial interface. You really notice it now when you're wearing the Kiwi thing, because the facial interface feels rough. Against my face, so I definitely need that to get replaced. But anyway, £46, including delivery direct from Kiwi. Thumbs up from me.
Not sponsored, by the way. We've not received this free.
Feel free to reach out and here's up, Kiwi, and then me and Gary can get
one. And that's everything that we've been playing or using hardware-wise. What's coming up in the next few weeks? Or news from the past few weeks, actually, not what's coming up. So Into the Radius 2 has had a Steam page list, and it's confirmed there's going to be 4-player co-op coming first to the PC version, and it will be early access. I've still not played the original Into the Radius outside the very original early alpha build, but 4-player co-op could be fun.
I like the idea of this. I mean, the devs reached out. Well, not reached out to me, but I must be on their list for some reason, and I know they did send me a key for the Pico. And they just said, "Oh, keep me in the loop. Let me know when it's coming out on PCVR. If you need any early testers, let me know." And hopefully they'll message me. But graphically, if these are some, I mean, you can't see it because of our Christmas decorations, but I think it says like early game images or footage, something like that on it. But if these are actually from the game itself, then they've definitely gone big time on that, because that's one of the things that maybe. I mean, not the PC version. I think the PC version looks quite good. I think the Quest versions had a little bit of hammer for it being so bland and looking so plain. But on the Quest 3 and with Quest Games Optimizer, I've been playing it recently. I just suck. I really suck at it. But I think it's fantastic. It's a great game. So 4-player co-op where you can all go in and save me from dying continuously. That'd be great. Thanks.
Oh dear, I've just realised I don't know if I've just only noticed that we've got a Christmas tree on the YouTube video.
Yes.
It's like, you've totally ruined my intro.
It's Christmas.
It's
Christmas, dude. We're all in the Christmas spirit. And Gary's been on the Christmas spirit, so that's what
Gary. We've got Gary, Lee, and Scrooge on this episode of the podcast. It seems.
You've always got Scrooge on this episode. Well, on this podcast. Into the Radius, somewhat to look forward to co-op wise. And talking of co-op, Dungeons of Eternity has had its holiday read Christmas update. So that's got festive visuals on it now and Santa hats and everything else. There's also a massive patch list. I'm just not even going to touch it. I can't. I did read through it, and then there's like a good couple of pages worth of patch notes. So it's good to see how well it's been supported. Just looking at the video here, it does look quite funny.
It was fun, right?
Suppose.
It's something nice that devs do things like these little Christmas things, chucking candy canes around just for a bit of laugh. I think that
does seem quite a bit of a graphical overhaul they've done there.
Yeah, definitely. But I mean, graphically it looks really good anyway on the Quest 3, so that looks kind of cool. I didn't realise you got the actual snow things. I just thought it was like the bit at the beginning where you're jumping into when you first start off, and then it's got like Christmas trees and presents knocking about. I didn't realise they got like snow in some of the levels as well, so I'll have to try and...
Looks like it.
I'll have to try and get Gary in, because he's probably still not played it yet.
No, I'm like level 2. I'm 3, maybe. It's ridiculous. Yeah, I've not really played it. I to be honest, like I really do like it. When I have been in there, I really do like it. But there's just been a lot of other stuff.
I know one of the things that I did notice that they've introduced now is room codes. So like private room codes for your friends. A bit more like Walkabout Minigolf, where you can just say, right, the room codes. I don't know, Rog. That's for an example, by the way. Don't everybody jumping into the Walkabout game. It's not that. But yeah, to have that and just give it your friend and say, right, this is a room code, jump in. Because a couple of times we've had random people jumping out with Rog bikes. Not that I've got anything against random people jumping in, but if you just want to play with your friends and just you three.
Come on, you must have. They're all knobheads, aren't they? Come on. Anyone random.
That's Gary who said that, by the way. Anyone in the comments?
Oh dear. So definitely have to jump into that.
I'm going to have to play some of that. Yeah, I didn't realise they'd done all that Christmas wise. It might be good to get a bit of footage and put a video out for that for a laugh.
Oh dear. Yeah. Now something mentioned before. I've had problems recently. I think it was with version 5.9, where my recording options on the Quest was basically you can record video at 30 frames a second and that's it. There are 0 other options. Where you've had this 60 frames a second option, haven't you, Lee? And other people have on Discord as well, saying, I can record at 60 now. And yours was missing as well, Gary.
Yes,
the 60
that's right.
FPS option.
Yeah.
However, if anybody else has had that problem, keep an eye. If you've not had this version 60 update yet, keep an eye out for that. Because my Quest updated to V60 and, 60 frames a second recording is now there. So, yay, bug fixed. I was expecting to be stuck with that outside of, doing a factory reset or something. But, 60 frames a second recording option has appeared. So, yay.
Yeah.
That's that problem sorted.
It's it's nice and convenient to have that option in there, to be honest. Because when I did I was on a Sunshine 2 video, I decided to just go in, just record a bit of video, and I played it at 120 FPS in virtual desktop, then recorded it at 60 frames per second in the Quest, and it just worked really well. It came out really good footage. So just having that option in there is good. So just a bit of convenience, honestly.
Yeah, definitely. And the last thing we've got on there is, I mean, has anybody got anything to say about this? The upload winter showcase. That literally, without it being a joke, trying to think back to what there was, the only thing I could think of, because we all jumped into Discord when it was on, and the only thing I can remember talking about was the Prey Dog mod. Because it's like the entire showcase was like, another mobile game, and it's like, I think I just tuned out.
I think it was on the same night. I think I spoke to Alex in the afternoon, and I was like telling you guys about it, what I spoke about. This is before putting the video out, right? I think it was probably around about then. I just want to say hello to any new listeners and new viewers that have come across from that Prey Dog video, so appreciate that, and hopefully you've listened this far and watch this far. But
hopefully you've not unsubscribed after listening to this.
I'll probably get like minus 200 after this one, sure. But no, I mean, like I
can't believe Lee is even slumming it with us on this podcast, to be quite honest with you, Lodge. Can you believe that? It's like it's got 20,000 views on this video, done an absolutely sterling job of interviewing Alex, and now he's got to lower his standards.
I wouldn't say sterling job interviewing, but it was more, I think it came across better because I didn't prepare anything. Originally, I'd got like 3 or 4 days before I speak to Alex. It was like, I'll speak to you on the Sunday, I'm super busy. I was like, yeah, fine. And literally, when I added him on Discord, he went, I'm free now if you want to chat. So we literally jumped on straight away. I said, look, I apologise, I'm half naked. Not the bottom half, just the top, so don't worry about that. So I'm not on camera, because I panicked that I got the camera on. I'm half naked. So it was just like Alex going through it, and I just let him do his thing, really. I didn't want to stop him.
Yeah.
I was really interested in what he was telling me, and I just, hopefully a few other people may have been interested to see it as well. So, yeah,
I think so, because...
Yeah.
One of the things I'll say about that video is I've not seen like that level of depth in terms of the mod that everybody will be getting. you know, you understand that what it does, and you think, okay, how is this actually going to work when I get it and I'm installing it into games and stuff like that? And then he went into quite a lot of depth into what you will be doing. You can tinker with it and this kind of stuff, but also it's going to be having profiles for games. So people will get this mod, tweak them and make them work in VR with various games and stuff like that, and then you'll have profiles which you can just use, and you know, it's not going to be quite as much hassle as you might imagine. But also he went into all of this stuff and made it clear, like the user interface and all of these other things as to how you're going to get these games into VR. I'm really excited for it, honestly. And there's people, we did have some comments about, and we get these comments all the time and on various forums, not us, by the way, just on the Injector mod, just saying it's not real VR if it's not got motion controllers. And it has got motion controllers for some games, but not for every game.
Yeah.
And the point I want to make is it's worthwhile either way. It's free. It's open source. Just accept it. If you don't want to use it, you don't have to use it. It's not a big problem. So
and don't even get me started on the if it's not got motion controllers, it's not VR nonsense argument. It's just ridiculous. It's like I'm playing my racing game here. I've not actually got motion tracked hands. Oh, I can't be in VR.
Yeah.
You know. If I suddenly put my controllers down on the side, I was suddenly teleported out of VR. If I'm wandering around a museum experience, what's not interactive. Yeah, so I don't actually need motion controllers. Does that mean I'm not in VR?
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah.
But somebody commented as well saying, "Oh my God, we've not got hands in VR, therefore it's not VR. What about my, the motion rig and all of these other things? Why have we not got all of these things? We've not got a walking platform or anything like that."
The thing is, the headset is the base level for VR. Without the headset, there's nothing else. Like people have said, oh, it's motion controllers what make it VR. Well, it's nonsense. If you take the headset away, you've just got motion controllers and you're playing on a flat screen. If you could do that, that's not VR. The motion controllers don't mean anything in that context. The headset is the base level. Being able to look around inside that world, that is the base level. Yes, motion controllers add to that immersion. Yeah, but saying it's not VR if you've not got motion controllers, well, there's been news about the Quest update adding the body tracking stuff in. I don't know if there's anything what actually makes use of it yet.
Yeah.
So getting the torso tracking and everything else, or the knee tracking, whatever it is it's going to be. Once we've got at the point where we've suddenly got full body tracking in VR, those same people are going to turn around and say, "Oh, unless you've got full body tracking, then it's not VR." And these will be the exact same people who have been moaning about if you've not got hand controllers, it's not VR. And then it'll be something else. And then it'll be years in the future where you've got your Ready Player One treadmill. Yeah. And, if you've not got your Ready Player One treadmill, then you're not in VR. And it's just ridiculous. It's just, each thing adds an extra layer. It adds extra, it can add extra immersion. Yes.
We're living in a world where not everything is readily available to everybody all of the time. So you make do with it. To say it's not real VR, I literally cannot understand that. And look, there's got to be a minimum bar or whatever, but I think Anyway,
I mean, the funniest thing is, we said we weren't going to discuss this, and I've just let you two talk about it, and I was really kicking up about it.
Well, it pissed me off. Honestly.
I had to delete several comments, but I mean, I think I've stopped responding to comments about Wendy, so I apologise if I'm not got around to everyone. You'll see if it's me, because I always put my name after it and stuff.
If you want to disagree with us, fair enough, but put an argument forward at least. Yeah. If you want to moan at us, fine, do that. But if you're going to start moaning at other people and attacking other people in the community for their views, which is just as valid as yours, you're just going to get deleted and kicked off.
Which I did to a few, which was sad because, I do get the argument as such. I don't get the motion control, same as you guys. I mean, there's an Apple headset coming out.
If that is your viewpoint, if the motion control thing with needing the motion controls is your viewpoint and you have to have that, that's perfectly valid for you.
Yeah,
but, put your ego aside. Yeah, because not everybody in the world has the same view as you do.
But I do think Prey Dog has got, near enough all, well, I don't say all, but most of the games have got 3D off anyway. out the gate straight away. So
they've got 3. There was a lot of misunderstanding about it as well, because there's 6DoF in certain games and 3DoF in certain other games, and it might be possible to get 6DoF in the games that only support 3DoF right now as well. So I think to be honest, it's more a case of where you draw the line on what you consider VR. But to claim it's literally not VR if you've not got motion controllers seems a little bit ridiculous.
And I know a lot of people have been from that video. I've actually gone over to their Discord as well. If you do go over there, have some respect. Yeah, this guy's working his arse off to do this for you for free. Yeah,
open source for free. Yes.
He owes you nothing. Yeah, so have some patience and just wait, and it'll get here eventually.
Yeah.
And also, go check Alex out. Alex was in the video. Go check his channel out. He probably posts daily now, maybe 1 or 2 videos of some of the games that he's been like showing 6DoF off, or they've managed to get 6DoF working. So, his link's in the Prey Dog video. So, go check Alex out and keep up to date with what's going on. I'm sure it'll be sooner, if not later, that we do get it.
Yeah. And anyway,
just to finish off, if you are still with us, I do recommend going to watch that video, by the way, just to get a little bit more perspective on what the mod is all about.
And Lee, where's this week's interview? We still seem to be waiting on it.
Well, I was thinking about
Slacker.
When it gets closer to release date, or maybe have speak to Alex again and see what things have done differently now, or what they've improved on. But we'll have to wait and see, because I always go on about backlash and stuff and saying like with Bane gets it and he takes it to heart, but until it happens to you, until you get, I'm used to getting like 100 views on a video, so I don't reach that level of getting the comments what we did, and they weren't nasty, but there were a few of them on there, and it was like, I don't really need all this, to be honest, if I'm honest. But maybe I'll speak to Alex again and get some a follow-up video out. That'd be quite nice to do.
Well, anyway, this was supposed to be about the Upload Winter Showcase.
Yeah. Oh yes.
Was there anything on there that caught your eye at all? Or?
Well, there was a cat game. That me and Gary really liked. That we were going to get, and I
think this is better than Asgard's Wrath, isn't it? This one.
Well, it's. I saw Atom Bomb. Is it Atom Bomb?
Atom Bomb Body. Yeah.
Body. She'd had like 600,000 views on a TikTok. What she did of this. So perhaps we should have put one of those out. Yeah. And about 200 quid's worth of stuff, but
this is
the.
I've played. Sorry, I just need to delete that. I'll edit that out. My daughter's played this, and she thinks she had some quite nuanced thoughts on it. Not that nuanced. It's a pet game. That's all it is. Yeah, it's your standard pet game where you can play in mixed reality, and it's all right. It does you can tell what it is from this trailer. That is exactly what it is. You play games, you feed the pet, and that's what it is. That's all it is. Do you remember dogs or cats on Windows back in 1998 or whenever it was?
The ones that lived on your desktop.
That's it. That's this in VR. That's exactly what it is.
Well, it used to be a mobile phone game, right? Like 10 years ago. So people like were all coming to, I remember this. Well, it's in VR, and they were like really interested in playing it and getting that aspect of it in VR as well. So I've heard mixed things about it. People saying there's, I can hear Roger say, people saying not really much depth to it, but it is what it is. I think it's basically like a clone of what it was on the phone.
Yeah, there's no depth to it. It's a pet thing, and it's fine. It's it's fine. Rog, what do you think?
Why are you even asking me? I mean, seriously, no, zero interest. Next.
Okay,
next.
No, fair enough. Yeah, I couldn't understand that.
Well, what is next? Any other games over that? Is that all we've got? Was that all that got your attention?
No,
from an hour and a half.
What was the other one, Lee? What's it called? Demeter.
Yeah, it's like a mixed reality game that kind of piqued my interest. The Upload VR and the trailer to it looks pretty cool. From what I can tell as well, the game in mixed reality takes your surroundings into account. So if you've got some sort of area on your couch or settee or whatever, it will the character will jump over the settee and over the pillows and things like that. So it looks really cool how it could do that. And I think it takes into, I mean, you can see from the video how much scope it's using in your room. I don't know kind of what area you'll need to play it in, whether it'll say like a 3x3 or what, I don't know. But yeah, I thought this looked really interesting to be playing it in mixed reality.
Yeah, I really like the idea of these mixed reality games. And one thing I've come to realise, having the Quest 3 and stuff, is to play these mixed reality games, it takes a little bit more, there's a bit more friction involved, because you have to, you set up your room, and that's okay. But then I feel like sometimes I've not set it up quite as well as I want to, and I have to go back in and redo it. And I feel like these mixed reality games rely on the fact that you've got pretty much a perfect room set up. So that's the one thing I'll say. I'm all for mixed reality games and all for mixed reality stuff, but it's a little bit more friction at this stage. So we'll see. We'll see with this one.
Yeah. It's looks intriguing enough, but yeah, mixed reality games. It's like I'm still waiting for the one what's going to sort of really sort of impress me and make me actually want to play it in mixed reality. I didn't actually check that out. I noticed PD put a video out the other week. The Ocean Rift, the old sort of it's been out forever, hasn't it, on like PC and on Quest. They've done their mixed reality update, and that looks pretty neat. Where you can sort of like drag portals on your wall, so your room sort of becomes almost like a room under the sea, where you can see out into the ocean, and there's like whales and sharks and whatever else swimming along out there. Although the one thing what did put me off on PD's video was it glitched and the shark teleported inside his room, which I don't think was supposed to happen. He's like, sod that.
Yeah.
It's like, it's like, yes, the sharks can stay outside the window. Thank you very much. But yeah, I've been meaning to check that out. I've not got around to it yet. Right, okay. There's something what's been annoying us, isn't there, early recently?
Well, yeah,
it seems to be getting worse. So why don't you take it away?
We spoke about it before. I think we tried to put this on like several podcasts. We'll try and be as quick as we can, because I know we bang on a bit. But save games slots in games flat screen and VR. Just lately, it's been really getting to me, especially in VR, especially on Lego. You probably noticed this, Gary, because you've even said you've had to take it in turns with your daughter, swapping between playing it, because there's no second save slot option in it.
Yeah.
And it does seem to be a thing that is happening more often than not, especially, like I say, especially in some of the VR games I've been playing. But what I will say is the Cookie one, that did have three save game slots on that, so I will commend them for that. But yeah, I don't know what you guys think. I think it should be like some sort of staple thing now where Meta say, any devs, come on, I mean, this is what I want to try and get out, is to devs, if any devs do listen, is it hard? Is it a massive undertake to put an extra save game slot in a game? And I'm not like being condescending there, it's just a general question. I don't know if it's like a massive thing to put save game slots in or what, but can we at least have something across the board where we get 2 or 3 for every single game, and then everyone's happy?
Absolutely. The thing is that the people say, we'll just have different profiles for different people in your house. But the thing is, if somebody comes around to your house, or you take your Quest somewhere to demo it to somebody, you're not going to set up their Facebook account on your mate's Facebook account on your Quest. You just want to put them in an experience and show them something. And if the thing you want to show them, it's basically got one save game slot, and it's your save game slot, and you don't want to mess it up, or you want to show them an experience from the beginning, you're not going to show them that. You're going to show them something else.
Yeah,
it's getting ridiculous. The Wallace and Gromit game, it's got. We've hammered on about this outside the podcast. The Wallace and Gromit, has got the worst options screen ever in a game, literally ever, in VR or on flat probably. Yeah. Because you get there's a suitcase, and it's got it's like start game, go to the MR mode, options, and on the options little option sticker it says select choose your options. Yeah, it's got one. The entire option screen for Wallace and Gromit is delete save game, which is utterly ludicrous. There's nothing else there. That is it. That is their option screen. And, now Wallace and Gromit, it's such a short game, you could argue that you don't actually even really need a save game screen. And you can actually sort of start the different... It is divided into sort of chapters, so you can sort of, start from a particular chapter. But it's... Yeah, going to other games like with Lego or whatever. Has Asgard's Wrath got save game slots? I've not noticed.
I don't know.
I've not noticed.
I don't know. Actually, thinking about it, I'm not sure.
I didn't see anything. I think I bet. Can you? I mean, you sort of continue your game, don't you? I don't know if there's a new game option or if the new game option will take you to save slots. I don't actually know.
That would be a big oversight if it hasn't. Like you say, someone wants to try Asgard's Wrath, you're not going to bang him in it halfway through. Yeah, that's going to be an issue. I mean, it might have. I don't know, but I can remember seeing
it. It might have, because, but it's like I don't want to risk clicking on a new game option just in case something happens. It's, but yeah, it's a massive problem. It's getting ridiculous. There should be like 3 save slots. So say if you share your headset with kids or whatever, you want to play Lego, they want to play Lego. It's like let it be easy. You shouldn't have to mess around creating different profiles and
the problem
accounts and
is
stuff.
that the reason this is like affected me recently as well is because we've had like an influx of not even big games, just an influx of games that my family want to play, and that's where it comes into it. It's like Wallace and Gromit, Lego, and all of these other things. And if I've got to set up because to the best of my knowledge, from what I've seen, I can set up an extra account for different people in my family, but I need to either do a Facebook or an Instagram account.
That's right.
So I don't really want to do that.
It's just a hassle of doing it. Save slots is a lot easier.
Yeah.
But it's not, I mean, the save slot's a massive thing, but also I've not been championing as such, but I've said it quite a few times. I'd like some sort of universal options that devs have to stick to, set by Meta. Like PlayStation have their guidance or their quality of life things, don't they? They've got to have before they release this game. I think this should be now, for definitely default on what any VR game comes out. Like Roger just mentioned Wallace and Gromit there, where you click on the options, there isn't any. But some people might want to. I mean, the volume on that can get a little confusing. We didn't mention it earlier on. There's a point where it's so loud you can't hear Wallace talking. There's machines going off. There's things like that. I would like to have turned the sound volume down a little bit, but you can't, because something as simple as that we've all come accustomed to, it's just not there either. But I mean, I'll go into the cookie one a bit. That's a bit. It has got the 3 game save slots, but then it's got the options to turn music and sound effects on and things like that. But it's all sliders. But when you click on the slider, it opens up another mini slider for you to turn it down. And I think, well, why not just turn it down on the big slider that's there in the first place? It doesn't make sense to make that extra option. I know it's nothing. It's not like game defining, or it's not. You're not going to go, I'm not playing the game because of that. But it's just little things like that where I think there's just no need for it. And it's also got the option of slow, medium and fast for smooth turning, and the fastest isn't fast enough. So this should be a thing. We should have a slider on every single game now, as we've spoke to with Assassin's Creed. I'd sooner it be ridiculously fast where it makes me fall over onto my arse than it'd be too slow where it's making me feel sick. And that option there. And because Cookie one wasn't fast enough, I put it on snap turning, and it's got a vignette on it. But there was no option anywhere where I could turn the vignette off. So that was slightly making me, off. But I know you can turn in the spot, but if you're recording footage, which is often what we were doing, or if I'm on a green screen and that, I can't physically turn around, otherwise you'll just see my bald spot all the time.
If you're using a green screen, you can't really do that.
It's like, I mean, sort of sometimes, I know you can stand and turn in real life, but sometimes that rotation thing is, smooth rotation is really useful, because playing Asgard's Wrath 2, at one point because the enemies sort of strafe and circle around you, and I was turning in real life to match it. And at one point, after combat, I was like, where am I stood at the moment? And I hadn't a clue where I was in my room. I totally wandered off, and I was back to a wall. My back was facing, what I mean? If I'd have been facing the opposite way, I would have punched something at some point. I totally lost my sense of direction. my mate playing Dungeons of Eternity, he said he's like, he's lost total sense of where he is. He plays in his kitchen because he's got a large open kitchen. That's his best area to play. And he says like, he just loses track of where he is playing Dungeons of Eternity. So
yeah, it's easily done.
Sometimes smooth turning is like, I'll use that because I know I'm not going to wander off. I desperately need a mat of some description on the floor so I can feel where I am. I've still not sorted that out. I need to do that.
But going over other things as well, we've said things like seated mode should be an option. I know you can sort of turn the trick seated mode in the quest options. I think it's on accessibility where you can alter the floor height as if you are seated. I mean, if you are standing, if you are seated, just if that makes any sense. But yeah, I think there should be a seated mode in every single game because not everybody can stand. I mean, I can't stand for long periods of time. So, I mean, I do a random walkabout Minigolf and I'm struggling. So, I mean, probably that's one where you would want to be probably standing more than anything because it's the visual thing of being stood up holding a golf club. But for other games, there's no need not to have a seated mode. I mean, one of my favourite games, I've totally forgot the name of it now. So I can see it. Is it Forewarned on PC VR? And there's no seated mode for that. But everybody who I usually play with sits down. But what it does is it makes the character look like a crab. Because we're all sat down, so we're all walking like with his legs wide open like little crabs, because everybody's sat down playing it, because we can't stand up for 2-3 hours at a time. Especially me, because, I mean, this just might be an old person thing, I don't know. Because I'm cracking on, perhaps it's just I can't stand up for that amount of time. But yeah, seated mode, left-handed mode for all my left-hand friends, these are all things I personally think should be standard on VR options.
No, I think you're absolutely right. Like seated mode, left-handed mode, it's all sort of essential really with that kind of stuff. I think you can take it to extremes. I mean, you can go beyond all of this stuff and say, because I always think back to The Last of Us 2 where they had a blind mode in that game. Do you remember where you could play through the entire game based on audio cues and things like that. Right. So there's elements of taking it to extremes, and I understand that indie devs can't do all of that stuff. They've not got the resources to do all of that. But I think there's some basic things that they can do. Rotation speed is so easy. Seated mode, presumably, I understand it might be a little bit harder, but seated mode is not necessarily the end of the world. Left-handed mode surely can't be that difficult, and all of these other things. So I think there's a certain level of you just have to do what you can do. Is it indie developer?
I think it's like a time and money constraint. You're totally right with that. But if any devs are listening, please, let us know if these things really are.
I mean, the sort of like grabbing stuff from a distance, like a force pull mode. That when that's not there, that really annoys me. And you might still think, well, it might be game breaking or whatever. And I don't necessarily mean be able to grab every object from the opposite side of the room. But if I'm stood above something on the floor, or near to something on the floor, let me just pull it into my hand. Don't make me have to crouch down.
That's another thing.
And pick it up. You got to remember, some of us just aren't spring chickens anymore.
Exactly. I can get back up half at time. I'm trying to do that. So, but it's just something that I mean, you see it on every single game. Some games have done it right. I mean, like Vertigo 2, with the options on that. You can tell that's someone that knows VR. I'm not saying the devs don't know VR who's making games, but this guy definitely knows what he's doing, and all the options for that are fantastic. If you could get it like that on every single game,
you say. I mean, the thing is, this guy made Vertigo 2. He knows VR. This is the thing. It's so easy to see when you play a game by, I mean, even a AAA developer. It's sometimes. I was going to say embarrassing. It's not embarrassing. It's just so blatant. I think that's what I want to say.
It's so blatant when one person can get it so right.
Yeah.
Yet a team of people with God knows how much money behind them just fail.
Yes.
That's when it gets. It gets really annoying.
Plus for newcomers as well, when you're going into several different VR games and all the options are different to each thing, and I don't mean game specific. I just mean like then the smooth turn speed and things like that. They're all different. Oh, I've not got that slider. Where's that slider? What am I supposed to do? Or this isn't quick enough. Or that's not right. This don't feel right. And I just think we should have something, not just for me, set in stone, but something to make it accessible for everyone, a lot easier.
That's the thing. Yeah, it's for a lot of people. A lot of these things that we're talking about here, it's not necessarily like, oh, I can't do this, therefore they need to incorporate it. It's the simple fact that there are a lot of people. For me,
but yeah. No,
yeah. but I think there's a lot of people that can benefit from all of this stuff. And at this point, if it's not that much effort, I think that's what it comes down to. I suppose you can't expect them to jump through numerous hoops all the time, but if it's not that left-handed mode, how much effort is a left-handed mode, for example? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, but
if we don't get none of that, do you know what I mean? Just give us 2 save slots, and then
we'll three save slots, just because
3 save
you
slots.
Put in an extra one. I think that's all there is to say about that, really. I mean, on the upcoming game side, I've really not put anything on there. I was just hoping that Bulletstorm turns out to be good, because it got delayed until January, and that's
quite a few
probably
games
one I'm
got
looking
delayed,
for.
right? I think was the Asylum game, the like a multiplayer Asylum game that's supposed to be coming out, that got delayed.
The new Affected game.
Yeah, Affected, sorry, yeah.
That got Affected the money, yeah.
There was... my brain's losing it now, because I get to a certain point, it just gives up. Madison VR got
Madison,
all these games that we were hoping to get to play before the end of the new year, they put them back.
You've got to keep thinking of more. You've got to keep thinking of more things to talk about, right? Flipping VR gaming podcast went for 3 hours, and I'm not having it. I'm sorry. I think they can do a longer podcast.
Well, I tell you what, I've just received a text from my son saying when is dinner, and I'm in charge of dinner.
Yeah, that was it.
I'm screwed.
I mean, my missus is back now. She's on the phone as well, so she'll be wanting to put TV on and stuff like that. She's been like Birmingham and back while I've been doing podcasts. So.
Oh man, oh dear. But no. All serious though, if you are looking for a longer form podcast to listen to, go and listen to the VR gaming podcast.
Yeah, definitely.
I always look forward to it. Always puts a smile on my face.
Me too.
With those
I love
guys.
it. Yeah, I love listening to that
one. Yeah, I think that's about it. Anything else anybody can think of? I'm sure we've missed tons of stuff. What's happened, but
no, just
I think to be honest, we're about there, aren't we?
Hope everyone has a great Christmas, or if they don't celebrate Christmas, have happy holidays. You know, Santa Claus is coming to town next week, and then hopefully get all those shiny Quest 3s. And I would say not Quest 2s, but Quest 2s aren't selling, isn't it? So I don't know what to make about that one. Personally, I mean, you know, I'm like with Quest 2. I would gather them all up and just drop them into Mount Doom.
It's that price though, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like 250 quid right at the minute, so it's fair. I mean, I saw someone make a valid point about this, just very quickly, if anyone's still about, where they're saying they don't really know anything about VR, but they're seeing one headset, £250, and the other one's nearly £500, so they're going to buy the cheaper one for the sum because they don't think it's going to really be into it that much anyway. So I thought, well, you know, they've got a point, really.
Fair enough, yeah.
With that,
go ahead.
But
you know, no. I think that's the thing, though. If you're not sure, just get the cheaper one. See how you feel about it.
Yeah, but then if he likes the cheaper one, he might want the more expensive one. And
well, that'll be for his birthday, all right. You know what I mean?
So what my I'm just looking at the calendar now. So for our next podcast, so I need some time off. I'm not going to be doing anything until the end of January. So when do you guys want to do a next podcast?
Crikey, I don't know. That's a bit of a long one, isn't it?
Yeah, I was thinking, okay, well, what about 20th? What about 20th of January? Is that...
I mean, whenever you're ready for the next one, then that's fine.
Okay.
If it is going to be any longer than that, then we can have a think about it and maybe just I don't know, maybe jump into Walkabout and record thoughts of what's been going off or something like that.
Yeah, I'll be up for that.
Going forward, we're open to, you know, as we get more subscribers and things like that, maybe doing some live stuff, maybe doing some gameplays, but it's just getting everyone together at the same time and at the same time, literally, is proving a little bit difficult, but. Yeah, we'll do. It shouldn't be
hard. It shouldn't be hard, but it is.
Yeah.
Especially.
It's not necessarily that. I just want a break from everything VR, honestly, for a bit. And it's not like I'm going to stop playing VR. It's that I just want a break from talking about VR for a bit.
I'm taking a break from Twitter for sure because I'm sick of seeing everything on Twitter at the minute.
Fair enough.
That's getting on my nerves, but that's an entire other podcast.
January is traditionally going to be slow, innit? You know what I mean?
Is, yeah.
If you've not got your game out for Christmas, you're probably not going to,
We've got, CES. I think that maybe, I don't know. We'll see what comes out of it. We'll play it by ear anyway. So I guess what I'm saying is it might be a few weeks till the next podcast. That's.
It might be a month or so. In fact,
we'll see. We'll see where we end up anyway.
But we will see.
Yeah. So,
but
have a great Christmas and that, everyone.
So absolutely. So yes. Yep, absolutely.
Joy to the world and all that.
Indeed. Merry Christmas, happy holidays, whatever it is. Enjoy your time off, etc. If you're new to the podcast, if you're somebody who's new in and you've made it this far, thank you so very much. Tell your friends about us. Like and subscribe. If you've not subscribed, please do. That's if anything you want to do to help out the podcast. That is the thing. Please subscribe and give us a like, and drop us a comment as well. Just try not to be too nasty. Thanks.
Yeah, be a bit nasty. Just be a bit nasty.
So, anyway, thank you so very much for listening, and we will see you in the new year. Cheers, everyone.
Goodbye.
Take care.
What was that goodbye?
Was that? I don't know. What it was, I'll tell you what it was. I've got an air freshener, like an automatic air freshener. It decided to activate at that exact time when you were talking much, and it threw me off completely.
I thought you say see you next time. See you next time.
See you next time.
I just got this really faint. Yeah,
goodbye.
Next time.
No, I said goodbye.